The reason that we're here having this discussion about the big homie Suge Knight and talking about lessons on human nature and ruthlessness is because one of our members at thesassin.com, that's THESASN.com, has requested this topic. And we show love to those who show love to us, right? So we always take care of our people. Shout out to the Saints in the Philippines. Shout out to Assassin Philippines. You dig? Very good Saints over there. Every time I touch down in the Philippines, always show me love. It's always a pleasure. Anyways, we're going to do a couple things here. If you have any comments, questions, ties, tuition, feel free to send it in here and send it in early. I encourage you. But we're going to go through, and some of you might need to learn a little bit about Suge Knight. Definitely a controversial figure, to say the least, but his life can be an example to many of us. He achieved great wealth, came from the bottom, made it all the way up, tumbled back down the mountain. So his story is one of achievement and also one of tragedy. And as I often tell you guys, show love to those who show love to you. So generally when people ask me for freebies and things like that, it turns me off, especially if you're not a woman or a child. And women and children don't usually even have to ask. I'll give. But like this fellow right here, writing, please keep this on YouTube. Why would I do that? Like, are you a member? Just become a member. THESASN.com. If you're not a member, you could support the work. You could say that in a super chat. You could come in via PayPal or use the Stripe link in the description. But I don't know you. I've already given you a bunch of free things, over 1,000 videos free, 5 years of free content. That's not enough. These are users. These are people who will use you up. They've given you nothing and they'll take from you. And this is why this lesson on ruthlessness is so important, because if you're not ruthless, you will suffer by people like that. People who will take and take and take until there's nothing left. And then when you turn around and say, hey, I gave you so much. Can you give me something back? I need it now. They're going to walk off on you. It's a cold world. You did? Yeah, it's a cold world out here, man. Anyway, let's go ahead and get to this work. This may be a brief one because I don't like talking to the public for reasons like that. So let's go ahead and get it in real quick. If folks are supporting, I'll keep it going. Otherwise, I'm going to cut this ultra short because I already know we have a freeloader on here, and that's a terrible thing. Anyways, let me acknowledge Juan. He writes, says, I can't afford the membership. Yeah, that's fine, but still, number one, I don't know if that's the case. If that is the case, I've always said this. If you don't have $1 to your name, you shouldn't be watching this. This is entertainment. You should be looking on LinkedIn. You should be on Indeed.com. You should be looking for a job, gainful employment. I'm not that important. Having $1 in your pocket is way more important than sitting here and laughing. I promise you that. That's number one. And I've been there. And then number two, what you also need to understand is that as a man, there's ways to put in work. If you've not tried to figure out how can I put in some work, how can I do some favors, how can I add value, then that's on you. That's not on anyone else's. But hey, check this out. This is how I know that you're not being an honest, good person. This is how I know. Most of the people who come in via PayPal or Venmo or even use the Stripe link, one thing the entire internet can tell you, I never say how much they sent in unless it's a baller alert. I never say. That being the case, most people are sending in $1, $2. Some people even sending 50 cents. It's a token. It's a gesture. It's like saying, hey, I'm here. Hey, thanks. Hey, I'm present. $1 doesn't change my life, doesn't change their life. It's just a token. And so the fact that you can't send in $1 lets me know about you. And I advise everyone, use the small things to understand those small clues to help understand the world and the environment faster so that you can navigate more quickly. Here's the other thing. People who really want to help you or who really want to do something good for you, they're going to figure out how. It's kind of like a female. You know, if you say, hey, I want to take you out on a date, and she says, oh, I'm busy. She doesn't really want to go on the date. A woman who wants to go on the date, she's going to figure out, when am I going to be free? When can I squeeze you in? How can I, if I have to study, how about we have a study date? They're going to figure out a way. So what basically happens is you uncover someone's insincerity. And one thing I want to teach you guys about human nature, Human beings are wildly deceitful, liars. Very few human beings have integrity. Very few human beings are honest. And because so many of us are dishonest, that's why the politicians are always lying. And that's why someone like me, who's consistently upfront and honest, people won't like you because they're not accustomed to honesty. They're not accustomed to people looking you in the eye, telling you the truth, telling you how they really feel. They're not accustomed to that because human beings are liars. And I want to encourage every one of you. I teach about manhood. I teach about masculinity. I teach to have no excuses. I teach to put in the effort. I teach to work with what you got. I teach you to be thankful for where you are on the pursuit to where you want to be. I teach you to not come with your hand out. I always say to men, do not have a request, have an offer. It's a manly thing to do. It'll get you farther. That's in your own personal interest to do that kind of a thing. But anyways, enough of that. Enough of that. Let's go ahead and get to this work. And I want people to know, I meant every bit of what I said right there. Like if you actually follow those principles, that'll carry you straight to the top. When I say things like pay what you owe, those are things that I live by in my book. If you read this book, you'll figure out like those are the things that move me out of poverty. In Boston University, there's something called the Pyramids of Truth. It's an infographic called the Pyramids of Truth. Very insightful lesson. I'll give you a little nugget. The first aspect in the Pyramids of Truth, it says in the Pyramids of Truth is about who to tell the truth to, because not everyone deserves the truth. But one thing I'll share with you all who haven't purchased the course, if you need it in your life, you can get it at school.com, skool.com/Marquette. Just click courses. But the number one thing it says is don't lie to yourself. Don't lie to yourself. Don't lie to yourself. You see, if you're on here and you're saying I'm broke, either you're not broke or you don't care about yourself. Like you got to figure it out. Because if you're truly broke, you shouldn't be on here. This is for people who are, trying to move up. If you're in the gutter, you need to get out of the gutter. This ism is high level stuff. You don't need ism. You need a job. I'm going to say that again. If you're broke, you do not need to be watching me. You don't need ism. You need a job. Okay. Is that a reasonable thing for me to say? Now, most YouTubers won't say that because they want you to watch them so they can get views and get the ad revenue. I want you to take care of you first. Don't watch me. Watch and mind your own business. Mind your own affairs. Get those in order. Come on now. Don't lie to yourself. Do you care about yourself? For real. Laughing is not about to improve your life. Sitting, like we can all sit here and laugh, but here's the difference. When I'm finished laughing, I'm going to walk through a home that I'm happy to be in. When you're finished laughing, you're still going to be in a empty, barren apartment studio and be wondering where your next penny or your next meal is going to come from. Do not waste time laughing. Laughing is not for everyone. No, you can't afford to laugh right now. You need to lock in. You need to lock in. And I want everyone to know I've been there before. I've been in a situation where I had to lock in. The time I had to lock in the most, I just got hit by 2 Category 5 hurricanes. Had an old lady who I left Puerto Rico, moved in with a chick in Pennsylvania that I've been messing with for some time. She ended up flipping on me, had to leave out, was essentially homeless, had to lock in, my boy. Nothing mattered except getting to the bag. And in my case, it was raising around to finance because I wasn't willing to get a job. I was not willing to work for someone else after having been the CEO of an international corporation. I was not down for that. So it was all about fundraise, fundraise, fundraise. And then I did that successfully. I was locked in. But I tell you what I wasn't doing. I damn sure wasn't watching nobody's live session on YouTube. Shit. Shit. Damn sure wasn't doing that. So listen to me, man. You probably ain't even really learned anything from me anyways if you're making requests of a man whom you've done nothing for. You're not even learning the ism. So you might as well close your laptop, turn your phone off, get your ass on Indeed or LinkedIn and try to get you a job straight up, because you're not even learning from what I'm teaching you. and you don't have your priorities in order as a man. Okay, cool. Fantastic. Now that we got that out of the way, for the people who are qualified to be here, let's enjoy. Let's enjoy, right? Let's enjoy. I'm going to ease you guys in to get a sense of Suge. And there's some cultural things I think folks don't understand, and we're going to break all this down.
Yeah, kid. I love my artists. I mean, I don't consider my people artists. I consider them family. It's just a big difference. If they decided to turn in rapping or singing, they still be my homeboys. We still travel together. If they need something, it's mine. It'll still be there. It's still the same thing. It's not no situation where I'm dealing with.
Now, listen. Suge is a fascinating character for so many reasons. You have to know that a gentleman who could manage an extraordinarily profitable and powerful record label has to be smart. He has to have business acumen. He also was like a mafioso kingpin godfather figure at the same time and was respected throughout the world, but especially in Los Angeles and Southern California. So you know that he's a dynamic individual. He can do it all at some level. We also need to understand that human beings may have a variety of capacities, things that they can do, things they can do, skill sets, talents that they could use, but they don't always use them. That's important. I want you to remember that, because there's some people who are without capacity. They don't have the skill set to do certain things. And then there's some people who have the skill set and then they don't use it. Sometimes it's willful. Sometimes it's accidental. Sometimes their emotions overwhelm them. So in dealing with Suge, our treatment of Suge has to acknowledge that he's a highly capable man, highly capable. So when we observe his flaws that have led to his downfall, we must know that his downfall was not because he was dumb. And what I'm suggesting to you all is that if you are as talented as Suge Knight, and many of you very well may be, you losing, you undoing yourself, you meeting ruin is because of you. Just like your success was because of you, your failure too will be because of you. All right? So everything that happened to Suge was within his control. Conversely, if you look at a character like, say, the Haktua girl, she had a random interview. I think it was some black guy who was like, hey, blah, 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 blah. And she was like, Haktua, spit on that thing. Sound like a James Brown song. Haktua, spit on that thing. Boom. Haktua, spit on that thing. Boom, bing, 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 bing. So with her, it was dumb luck. It was dumb luck. She happened to get interviewed, happened to say something outrageous, and it happened to go viral. There was no time invested. There's no skill set. There's no sophisticated plan. There's no marketing strategy. She just won because she's a reasonably attractive white girl who's bleached blonde. And there's a lot of thirsty men out there. She benefited from that. So that lets you understand why she didn't stay on, why she couldn't maintain her time at the mountaintop. She fell down, not because of her, but because of what she was not, because of the capacity she did not have. She's not very bright, not very hardworking. She didn't even graduate high school on time. Not to say that high school is the end all be all or that formal education is the end all be all, but generally, if you can't perform, it may be an indication of either your IQ or EQ, and both are important. Suge, on the other hand, he was his own problem in as much as he did not utilize his capacities, or he let certain forces within his personality overwhelm his ability to be successful. Like, I'll give you one note. I got a homie I grew up with named Ryan. Good friend of mine. Honorable man. Damn near like my spiritual advisor. I remember when I was early on in YouTube, I was talking to Ryan. I was like, man, these internet nerds are weird. I was like, I wish I could catch one of them and do X, Y, and Z. I was like, man, I can't wait till I see one of these boys like out in the world. I was like, I'm going to put one out just so people know what it is. He was like, quit, bro. You don't have to prove anything to anybody. He was like, you already did enough. Like, people where you're from respect you. He was like, you don't have to do anything. Don't let them get you out of your position. Like, don't go out of your way to let people know, who you are. Because these people are nerds. What do they matter? That was an important thing to hear. I could have Suge Knighted myself out of my own success. I could have Suge Knighted myself out of my own success. But I've always been a hearer. So that was a great thing to hear. And what my friend Ryan, my good friend, was basically telling me was like, that natural force in you, Marquette, that meanness, the meanness, you got to keep that under control, because that will ruin everything. That's not appropriate for this environment. Huh? Anyways, let's ease in right here. So here we have Marion Suge Knight.
With them strictly for business, because they're good. Because they don't go like that. You got to have a more, respect for your people. Plus, we got a Death Row East going on. Of course, you heard about that.
Yeah, tell me about that.
Well, hello. Damu! Damu!
Okay, now this is a very, very funny interview because of a lot of reasons. So number one, you might look at certain characters, whether it's Pac or Suge Knight, whomever, and you might be like, man, bro is cocky, or like, this is a wild nigga. Now that's a LA nigga. That, not cocky. He's from LA. That's the culture. Just like when I listen to New York, people are like, man, these balls are mad rude. Like, what's up with these cats? They're from New York. That's the culture. So I say that to say there's certain things on Suge that I can see and I'm like, it makes me feel at home. Brings a smile to my face. And there are also other cultural things that are hidden to other people because it's just so hood. It's just so LA ghetto, underculture, lumpen class. For example, his dog's name is Damu, or I should say he calls his dog Damu. Now, if you're from Los Angeles and you were outside, you know exactly. Exactly. Shut the dick say. If you were outside, you know that Damu is a term for, a blood. You're like, yeah, blood. We all Damus over here, blood. So it's a gang term. And generally speaking, there may be a lot of gang members in the music industry. I've met a good number of them, unfortunately. And when they get into the music industry, many of them will turn it down at a level. They'll cooperate with enemy hoods. They'll do songs together. They'll focus on getting their bag. And they'll kind of put the gang banging to the side, most of them. But to be a record label owner, the chief businessman, and to be managing some of the biggest artists of that time and of all time, Tupac Shakur, Snoop Doggy Dogg, and still be calling your dog Damu, you're a different kind of nigga, because it invites so much gang violence and bad attention. Because people in LA, if you're not from LA, listen, you'll never really fully understand. It's truly ignorant. It's truly concerning, psychotic, and violent. But if you encounter an LA gang member and you have two gang members and they're from different gangs, really nothing matters. They're going in. Like, nothing matters. It doesn't matter. We're in church when I saw you. We're in the grocery store. You with your grandma. You got your kids. It doesn't matter. What side different lane PDL? You got to see me on site. Yeah, it doesn't matter. These people are sick in the brain. And this is one thing I want you guys to understand, is that there are different types of human beings. You may have never been taught this, and it should probably be taught. There are different types of human beings. There are those who are a part of the warrior class. They're killers. It's not a lot of them. It's a small percentage of humankind. They're killers. That's what they want to do. They want to kill. They want to murder. These persons often go into the military. These are the guys that are gung-ho about being in the military. Just imagine wanting to go into an organization where there are not many women in it. You want to go into a theater of war so you can act out on that which is within you, that which you quintessentially are. You're a killer. There's a percentage of the class, the human class, they're killers. There's a percentage that are, deeply spiritual people. There's a percentage that are your teachers. There's a percentage that are your healers, your doctors. And that's really what they are. And you can tell that people are operating within their calling when you encounter them. There have been times I've encountered physicians and you go into the doctor's office and, they do all of your checks, and you could tell when someone's in their calling as a physician when, they're doing the checks and they're saying, okay, hey, I'm just looking in your ear and, and if I see this, it'll tell me that. And if I see this, it'll tell me that. And then they'll like hit your knee with the little hammer and they'll say, that reaction, it's from this tendon here. It lets me know that your knee is really healthy. And you could tell that they're really into this process, this medical biological process, even though they've done it all day, every day for 5, 10, 20 years. And they still care enough to explain to you because they're doing exactly what they're meant to do, what they're wired to do. It's effortless. They're in a state of flow. And there are people who are killers. And their state of flow is war. Their state of flow is gangsterism. Their state of flow is being in the military. And as far as the Black Americans go, the lumpen class, and unfortunately many Black Americans are lower class, lower socioeconomic class. This is just according to the data. This is not my perspective. And our military class is not enrolling in the military because our military class, our warrior class, are also rebellious. They're in rebellion against the government because historically the government in the United States has been a little bit against Black folks, right? The people who actually are going into the military, say from the Black American population, these are the people who want to get their college paid for. These are the people who are aimless and have nothing to do. These are the people, it's not the ones who are actually the warrior class of humans. You understand? Like my brother, for example, love him to death. He went to the military, but I think it was mostly to get off of my mom's couch. You see, he's not a killer. I don't think he wants to kill at all. I don't even think he wants to hurt anything. I'd say my brother is really a gentle giant. He's a very kind-hearted man. He's not a killer. So there are different types of people. Understand that. Different types of people. Okay. So Suge is a certain kind of character. And despite him having the dynamism to survive and thrive in corporate life, here he is still calling his dog Damu, which is an LA gang term, which is not only brazen because it's a gang term, but also because of the violence that it invites. Because he was still in LA. He didn't move out or stop operating in LA. And I may share a quick story about Suge that I've shared many times before, which is a funny story to me. Anyways, shout out to Mark supporting the work. Appreciate you. Came in using the Stripe link. Let's keep it going. And another thing I want you guys to know about two things that Suge said is he was being interviewed and he's in his element. You a LA nigga, you in the drop top, you got your dog here. And if you're Suge Knight, you got the dog for intimidation purposes and the dog is barking and he says, oh yeah, the dog wants to kill. He wants to kill. Only Suge Knight is going to say something like that because this is the kind of character he is. It's to intimidate, but also he'll deliver. And that's unique. You have a lot of people, and this is what I think about the New Yorkers and the Egyptians, they're pump fakers. They say all kind of crazy stuff. That's why I say I consider them rude because they'll say stuff like that, but they don't want to get to the violence. Whereas like in Los Angeles, there's certain things, once you say that, like we got to get after the violence. New Yorkers are kind of go back and forth at each other just because it's kind of rude. But I think that happens when you just have so many people densely packed in a place. You have to, I guess, be a little bit gruff to get by. But anyways, he says, my dog, he wants to kill. Damu, he wants to kill. Not a normal thing to say. That's an off-color thing. That's a Suge Knight thing. It's an intimidation, but it also is something he can and will deliver on. And that's a unique thing about Suge Knight that made him successful, is that he will deliver. Yes, he'll deliver. That's an important thing to understand about somebody. Will they deliver on threats? Will they not deliver on threats? Most people won't. Come on now. Then the other thing that he says, my artist is like family. If they stop doing music, we would still eat together. We still hang out together. It's like family. Those are the things you have to wonder. Is that true? And I want you to hold that question in your mind. And we're going to check back on that as we go through some information on Suge Knight. We learn more about him. I'll tell you, with regards to the Assassin, I do treat it like family. With regards to my employees, I've always treated my employees like family through any of the businesses that I've been in. The hardware business, software, textiles, leather goods, cosmetics, women's wrap skirts, whatever you name it, running nonprofits, fill in the blank. I've always treated my business partners, my employees, like family. And that's ironic because literally I recently got a message from a former employee. And one thing that I learn about people, and I teach you guys, that you learn someone in their disappointment. When they get disappointed, how do they behave then? How do they react then? You'll understand your wife, your girlfriend, a woman you're dating. When she feels disappointed, how does she behave? How she look at you? How she speak to you? When you have an employee, when they get disappointed, how do they react? If you are treating your employee like family, and then, for whatever reason, their employment ends, how do they behave after that? Do you still get that Christmas card they were always getting you? Or did it stop all of a sudden? It teaches you how to truly understand that individual. It's important to have experiences that show different sides of a person so you can know, like, is this really my friend? Is this really my ally? For example, I had an employee whom many of you guys may be familiar with. And I won't go into detail, just be very brief, but had an employee, went on trips around the world, financed all of the travel, got him his own apartment when we're in Poland or Spain, and let the gentleman stay at my home for 7 months rent free. There'd be times that the gentleman wanted to, deal with a female, maybe had some work to do. I was like, bro, leave the work, deal with the girl, do the work later. Doesn't matter. So I treat it like family. My old lady is cooking up a meal, call up my employee, like say, hey, you want to come down and have dinner with us? Treat it like family. Then the employment stops. Don't even hear from buddy. Don't even hear from him. And that lets you know the understanding of someone, because you have to have these kind of experiences to understand someone. Because if everything is always like this, up, 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 it's so easy to be pleasant when the chips are up. It's easy to be pleasant when all is well and there's abundance. Very easy. You see, you learn the measure of people in their disappointment and in their challenge. Remember that. You'll never fail. And if you have someone that you're dealing with, whether it's a woman that you're dating or a friend or a family member, and you need to test something out, maybe before a critical juncture, such as a marriage proposal or a pregnancy or a business deal, I would encourage you, if there's a significant thing you're going to do with this person, you might be wise to manufacture some challenge. You might be wise to manufacture some challenge so that you can understand that person, and you will be better off for it. I absolutely promise you. Shout out to Frank, supporting the work. Frank is always supporting the work. I also acknowledge Gary came in supporting the work using the Stripe link. I also acknowledge Juan. He writes, caught some of the Willie D interview. I was moved by your words as usual. Thank you for your many lessons, Big Homie. I appreciate you. Shout out to Juan. And yeah, indeed, Willie D's been releasing that joint piece by piece. And there'll be some really good clips. There's one moment during the interview I got overwhelmed with emotion, just reflecting on some of the challenges of trying to teach kids in Baltimore, Maryland, where they're in just such traumatic, unfortunate situations, and their children. It always saddens me to see children suffering. And unfortunately, I kind of got choked up during the interview, which I really don't. That's not a good look for me. That's not my preferred look. You heard me. So I was quite anxious about that coming out, because I don't like to see that. I find it disgusting. Anyways, shout out to Mr. Morris, came in with a baller alert via Venmo. Appreciate you. Shout out to the ballers. The ballers just showed up. Shout out to Ramon. Writes, tuition for the education piece of things. Oh, absolutely. And this one's on human nature. So if you guys can actually soak up these lessons, remember them, and more importantly, utilize them. If you review them and utilize them, you'll go so far. If you're fortunate enough to have the Book of Dark Truths, for example, it's organized into lessons. So you can just click back and just go review the lessons. It's actually quite easy. Shout out to Heels In, supporting the work via Venmo. I also acknowledge Dorian. He writes, tuition, Seattle Saints. Yes, indeed. Shout out to Roderick. May I also, he didn't even have anything to say, just supporting the work. Appreciate you. Respect. Book. Shout out to Charlie, came in as well, supporting by a Venmo. All right, let's get back to this work. So Suge said that he sees his employees as family. Well, that may or may not be true. That may be a tactic. He may be using that as a tactic. It might not be true. For some people, it is true. For most people, it is not true. For some people, it is true, but for most people, it is not true. But many people say it. Why is that? Why would people say my employees are like family to me? And it's not true. Why would they say that? Book of Dark Truths. Carrying on. Let's ease you in one.
Sit.
Bro, sick. Shout out to my nigga Suge. Here's Suge again. And this, Suge is one of those characters that, you hear people use the term diabolical, but bro is actually diabolical. Often people are misusing the word. They might use it for humorous effect, or they'll use it as it's currently in currency as like in colloquial usage. But in the true sense of the term diabolical or sinister, this man is diabolical and sinister for sure. And because of the kind of character he is, sometimes you hear me like, I don't know if that's true. I'm not sure I believe you, Sugar. You might be leading us on, or you might be teasing, or you might be promoting or marketing or trying to, gain some clout. Or you might be completely and utterly serious. And I just don't want to believe what you're saying is actually true. And when Suge is saying it, it can all be true. That's the fascinating aspect of Suge Knight. And what I want you guys to understand, and it's a little bit different in this era that we're in now. The era that Suge came up in when I was a young child, that was different, because to create a boogeyman during that era, it involved oral tradition, story, and narrative. And certain things couldn't be verified, and certain things were for sure exaggerated. And information spread in different ways. Whereas now you're going to see the video on Instagram or on Twitter. You're going to see what happened, and probably the person's going to go to jail. But in that era, you can do all kind of stuff, and it's just stories and hearsay. There's no video evidence. There's the criminal still out on the loose. He's not going to jail. People retold the story 40 times, and then everything changed in the story. Suge, first time, like, Suge hit this guy, and the guy was just knocked out. Then the story gets retold. Suge hit this guy. He was knocked out. His jaw was broken. Story gets told again. Suge hit this guy. He was knocked out. His jaw was broken, and then Suge gouged his eye out. And, by the time somebody else gets it and gets the story in Compton, the situation occurred in Hollywood. You're hearing the story in Compton. Man, this story's crazy. And it births a boogeyman. Sometimes the boogeyman doesn't exist, and then other times the boogeyman does exist. In the case of Suge Knight, the notorious Suge, they call it notorious B.I.G. Now, that nigga wasn't notorious. Suge was notorious. You did. Yes, indeedy. And I guess I had the good fortune to meet Suge, and to know a lot of folks who know Suge and have a different perspective on Suge. And the reason I have a different perspective on Suge Knight versus a lot of other commentators, especially people in the media, is because they never knew him. They never knew other people who knew Suge on a personal level, people from his neighborhood, people who did business with him, they only know the industry perspective of Suge. And also, the difference is that, and as I said earlier, human nature. Here's a note on human nature. Human beings are liars. You cannot trust them. You shouldn't even listen to them. That's why every time I see something in the comments, you might see me ask somebody, are you a member of the Assassin? Are you a member? Okay, if you're not, I don't care what you have to say. I don't care what you think. Why? It's a self-protection, because you're not like us. Here's an example of what I mean. When Suge Knight was around, you got to remember, there was Snoop Dogg was just coming out. Tupac, this is gangster rap. Hit song. There's a hit song called Gangster Party. Ain't nothing but a gangster party. Oh, shit. Gangster music was everything. Like, you think music now is gangster? No, I'm talking about when it started. I'm talking about the beginning of gangster rap, like when the West Coast was ultra gangster. They had a record label called Death Row Records. You hear me? Nah. So gangsterism was at an all-time high. We had iconic gangsters, not fruity ones like you have now. All respect to NBA Youngboy, but that nigga, why he walked like he got cerebral palsy? Why NBA Youngboy like has the body formulation of a crack? Listen, I don't even want to get banned. I gotta chill. I gotta chill. Anyways, but I wanted to say this. Human beings are liars. There was gangster music as the most popular genre at that time. Everyone wants to see gangsters. They want to hear from gangsters. They want to dance to gangster music. They want to do the Crip walk. But then here's the weird part. They want the gangster music. They want to see the gangsters. They want to do the gangster dances. They want to wear their red rags or their blue rags. But then when violence occurs, people are like, oh, man, like, why y'all always doing black on black crime? Why y'all can't go nowhere? Why we can't never have a good time? It's like, hold on. Wait a minute. You wanted gangster music. You wanted the gangsters to be gangster. You wanted to crip walk. You wanted to blood walk. You wanted to say suwoo. You wanted gangster music from gangsters. So when gangsters do gangster things, now it's weird. If a gangster does something gangster, now it's weird. It's like when a dog barks, we're shocked. No, you need to be shocked when a dog quacks. That's when you should be shocked. But when a dog barks, you should be like, oh, that makes sense. You got all these gangsters and you don't expect anything gangster to happen. And here's the funny thing. You look at the Source magazine and all these hip hop periodicals, and they're always talking about who's authentic, who's a real gangster. And then as soon as the gangster does something gangster, all of a sudden we condemn him. And that's what happened to Suge Knight. Suge Knight do some gangster stuff, and then all of a sudden, all popular mainstream media like, Suge Knight's a bully. Suge Knight's mean. It's like, what? This is what you guys asked for. You guys asked for the bad guy, and he showed up. But one thing I also want to note for you guys is that a lot of like real gangsters, active gang members who, and mind you, in LA, if you're an active gang member, you've probably been a gang member since you're like 10 years old. You know what I mean? I'm talking about 9, 10, 11, 12. That's when you got put on the set. If you even got put on the set, sometimes you grew up in a neighborhood, you're on the set. You don't even need to get put on. But in other cases, yeah, you got put on when you were a youngster. So you grew up in it. In the case of Suge Knight, he was not an active gang member like that. There's a lot of people who are like, on Bloods, I never heard of Blood. Like, where Blood come from? Blood came out of nowhere. This is a football playing nigga. He was never on the block. And that's a fact. But he still is a gangster individual, and he did a lot of gangster stuff. So we're going to make sure that we get an understanding of that. And it's very important. May I acknowledge via PayPal? Shout out to Juan. Looks like Juan came back. Right. Peace of the saints. Appreciate you. Respect. Boom. So let's hear from Suge.
Now the nigga they don't like, but they respect.
This is really important because he understands.
Sleeping in a basket and living on the street, people don't have shit to say bad about them because they don't pose a threat. I'm gonna break this down to you about industry niggas. You got two types of niggas in this industry.
Man, he already dropped some game. Y'all might not have caught it. He said if you're down bad living on the street, no one's gonna say anything bad about you because you don't pose a threat. Huh? They're not going to say anything bad because you don't pose a threat. You're not going to have any haters because you're not popping. Huh? Now understand this part. The part I said earlier. When the gangster does something gangster, now everyone's complaining. Oh, why do you do that? Oh, that's not right. Oh, you're mean. But it's not really that they're outraged because what he did wasn't right. They're not really outraged because he's a bad guy, because he's unethical. No. It's fear. It's fear. And they realize that he is something that they are not. He's something that they can't compete with. He's too mean. He's too big. He's too strong. He's too violent. He's too aggressive. They can't compete with him. They can't go head to head with him. They can't measure up. So what they have to do is they have to discourage that aggressive behavior and that aggressive streak so that they are not victim of it. You have to discourage it so they're not victim of it. It's kind of like women saying, oh, real men don't lay hands on women. Real men don't fill in the blank. A real man would never hit a woman. Why are they saying that? Because they know if it comes to physicality, they will never win. So they have to discourage it from occurring. And they discourage it from occurring as though it's bad in every case so that it doesn't occur, because it will always be disadvantageous to them in every case. Same thing with Suge. There's only one true power in this world. It's the power of violence. You ask yourself, if you were Elon Musk, would you rather be Elon Musk and have $1 billion, or would you rather be Genghis Khan and have 1 billion killers? Give me the killers. Give me the killers. You ain't got to give me 1 billion. Give me 100,000. You give me 100,000 real killers, and you could give Elon Musk $1 billion. Give me a month. Then I'll have the $1 billion and the 100,000 killers, because there's only one true form of power on earth. It's violence. That's it. There are no other forms of power. Everything else people try to convert into violence. Huh? Come on now. Come on now. Yeah, they try to convert their money into violence. That's what women do. They convert the government into violence against you, make you pay child support and alimony and all this other crap because the government uses violence against you. That's what jail is. Jail is violence. Come on now. The police, violence. Come on. Let's talk about it. Yeah. So that's why you guys really don't understand how deep the ism is when I tell you guys wealth through unity. Huh? You don't have to be a millionaire. Let's say you connected to a strong community of people who will go all the way out for you no matter what. What do you need $1 million for? You don't. Come on. Hope you guys are getting this. Assassin or nothing. Let's go.
You got niggas that everybody like and love. Then you got the niggas who they don't like, but they respect.
Now, I want you to understand the important nuance here. He says, you have people that everyone likes and loves. Okay, that's cool. That's definitely not me. Then you have, like, everyone likes and loves. There's some people who love me, absolutely, but not everyone. No. I'm an acquired taste. He said, then you have people that they might not like, but they respect. That they might not like, but they respect. That's an important difference. He didn't say they hate, because that's something you also need to understand. If you're a member, I did a multi-part series on a book called The Prince by Niccolo Machiavelli. And that was it's a brilliant man who's a former diplomat and political advisor. And he wrote a book that basically is the one that Robert Greene bootlegged all of his ideas from. So if you like the 48 Laws of Power and the 50th Law and all that crap, that was all based on The Prince by Niccolo Machiavelli. And I did a multi-review of that for the members. So thesasn.com, click join, got the whole review on there. Now, it's important to understand not everyone needs to like you, but they should respect you. But do not be hated. See, Suge doesn't mention that part. You can't be hated. And that's where Suge went wrong, is he went overboard and he became hated. And when you become hated, you're in dangerous waters. I'll tell you why. Hate is so much stronger than love. It's so much stronger than love. I'll give you an example. There's a lot of folks, whether they're saints, they're members or fans, they say, Marquette, I love you. I love your stuff. Okay, cool. If you look on certain videos, right? Like there's Willie D releasing clips. And I was looking at the clips, and I was looking at the comments. And I see on the comment of one video, there's one account, and he keeps on like saying something negative. Nonsense. And the weird thing is, not only did he make an original post, he would then go and reply to everyone and reply and say something negative. I was like, this person's a nut, but they're dedicated. Then Willie D released some more videos, and I check out the video clip and look at the comments, and it's the same guy. Make a negative post and then go to everyone who said something positive and reply to them with something negative. I was like, God, this nigga is the hardest working. I couldn't pay a nigga to be this dedicated. And then I thought to myself, I was like, okay, so this is one guy. He's on every single freaking video spreading negativity and hatred. I was like, but where's all the love at? Now, granted, people who are fans, people who love me, the saints and members, they're saying a lot of positive stuff, but none of them posted multiple times. None of them went around to go reply multiple times to drive the love. And that's not to say anything bad about them. It's just to say that love is not as strong as hate. The guy who hates you is going to go make 20 posts and 300 replies. The guy who loves you is going to make maybe two posts and 2 replies. You see what I'm saying? Hate is so much more powerful, and that's just due to the wiring of the human being. That's how the human being is wired. Hate is so much more powerful than love. Come on now. So, and that's why I want to encourage you. If you really love somebody, man, go overboard with it. Go overboard with it. Because you got to cancel out the hate. Hate is so strong. And that would let you know, do not become hated. It will destroy you. And that's what happened to Suge. And we will understand that. And Suge intellectually understood that, But that meanness in Suge, he couldn't keep control of. And he didn't have anyone he respected to advise him out of it.
So if you got a nigga who they like, but they don't have the respect, it works real simple. A nigga that everybody like, he can see somebody at a restaurant. They gonna say, what's up? They gonna give mad love. What's up, homie? I miss you. I love you. What you doing? Want to go to dinner? Want to go to party?
Now, notice, and this is really insightful. And mind you, I'm just looking at, and like back in this era, like if you're a gangster, of course, you're going to be flamed up wearing red. But the flannel or the plaid or the Pendleton, that's what gangsters used to wear. So like, bro is just super G'd up. Like if you're not from LA and you weren't alive during that era, you wouldn't even know it. Well, I'm just looking, I'm like, man, this nigga is really banged out right now. It's crazy. But anyways, dig this. He said, if you're really well liked, you show up to the parties, everybody's like, oh, what's up, bro? It's nice to see you. Hey, man, what's up? Hey, come eat with us. Come hang out with us. That's on the fun side, right? But when you actually need something, or when you want to do some business, or when there's something meaningful, they're not there for it. They do the fun stuff because you're a nice guy. You're cool, man. Just like the young man who was in the live chat earlier, and he said, oh, you know, leave this up on YouTube. And I said, why would I do that? Become a member. If you really support me, become a member. He said, oh, I love you. I love your stuff. Like love, like, damn, that's like the strongest positive human emotion. You love me, but you're not a member. You don't love me, nigga. Like might not even love yourself. You damn sure don't love me, nigga. I know what love is. I had a good mother, good grandmother. I know what love is. That's not love. And so similar to what Suge is saying is like, you think these people care about you because they like you and they'll slap fives with you and they'll drink with you and they'll party with you. Just like this guy earlier, he'll watch my live. He'll talk in the chat. Maybe he even hits the like button. I don't even think he did hit the like button, but maybe even hits the like button. But where it counts, he's absent. Is he a member? No, he's not even a part of the movement. Super chat? Never, not once. So where it counts, you get nothing. That's what you have to understand about human nature, is that not everyone matters. You need to figure out with a laser focus who matters, who's for me, who's on my side, and here's the kicker. Once you figure out who's for me, that'll also let you know who am I for. Yeah, like don't go crash out for everybody. Go crash out for people who are for you. And here's the thing. The moment you find out that that person is not for you, that relationship is not beneficial, now they're the enemy. Yeah, now they're the enemy. It's so much safer to have known enemies as opposed to possible friends. You hear me? A known enemy is better than a possible friend, because a possible friend can hurt you. Huh? Yeah, they could hurt you because you don't have your guard up. A known enemy, they can't hurt you because you're going to treat them as you should treat an enemy. Come on now. So Suge is kicking some heavy game right now. Yeah, he is.
Gonna have some drinks, come by the house for a barbecue. They gonna say, okay, I'm there. Then they're gonna ask him to do some business with him. Hey, you think you do the song with me? Think you be in this video? You know what they're gonna tell him? They like him, but they don't got respect for him. So they're gonna tell him, you know what? I don't got time to be doing those songs right now. I'm doing my shit. Or if it's on a business level, I don't got time to take no meeting with you on business, or we can go play golf.
You see? Yeah, they shoot you to the side. And that's why it's critically important to understand, are people taking me seriously? I always tell you guys, be a serious man. Be a serious man. So you have to be like, are people taking me seriously? They want to drink with me. They want to party with me, go to the cookout with me, invite me to the club. But the moment I say, can we get a bag together? Now all of a sudden, they ain't got time. Huh? They're not taking me seriously. And understanding who your friends are and who your friends aren't, you can observe it in their moves. Like, for example, there's a lot of YouTubers, I'm not going to name any of them, that they're huge fans of the ism. But you've never seen them come on my show, and you've never seen me go on their show, ever, not once, because they're cowards and they're not real friends. You know, they play like a friend. They act friendly. They'll even send me a text message here and there, but I know that they're not actually friends because they've never invited me on their channel. They've never come on my channel. They're not friends. In this book, I teach you about how I learned to define a friend, how I learned to navigate relationships and alliances and choose your enemies. And here's another thing. Even people who I have had on my podcast, if you never saw me on their channel, they're probably not a real friend, right? Think about it. They come on my channel so that they can get exposure to my audience, but they never said, hey, Marquette, come on over to my channel. See, and me, I'm not going to ask you. I don't have to ask because I don't need it. I don't have the need, fortunately. But if you're not saying, hey, come over, I want to show you, bring you out to my audience, introduce you to a new market. They want to come on my channel, but never bring me on theirs. And you've seen several people in the past, they've come on my channel, I never showed up on theirs. That's lets you know. They're blood sucking. And here's the key with human nature. People always think they're smarter than they are. Yeah, they always think they're smarter than they are. So they think that they got one over on you. Like, oh yeah, man, I got exposed to his audience. I probably got some new fans, but I'm not going to show him my audience because he might steal my fans. They might stop watching me, start watching him. If we go live at the same time, they're going to be on his live stream. So I'm not even going to bring him on my show. And they think that they got over with that, but they didn't, because I could see and I just categorized them in a certain way. And if it ever comes a situation where, it's like, well, should I slap their helmet off or maybe not? I'm going to be like, oh yeah, slap their helmet off. No need to think about it. Slap their helmet off. I understand who they are and more importantly, who they are to me. Yes. And one thing that I think a lot of the audience probably has a lot of trouble with is you might see me and say, oh, well, how can he be friends with that guy? That white guy's a racist. Might be a racist to you. It's not a racist to me. Man, behind the scenes, that white dude did me like 30 favors. I couldn't even get a nigga to do me 20 favors. This nigga done did me 30. You call him a racist all you want. So you have some black people who are brainless. They say, Marquette, you voted for Trump the first time? Like, yes. And he put money in a lot of people's pockets. All of my business metrics were sailing high the first time. I vote for politicians to work for me, to be a tool. I wanted to increase my business. And the first term he did that. The second term he didn't. So I'm doing everything to get him out of office. I want him impeached. Hell, even if somebody try to, get him out the other way, I don't care because he's not working for my interests. Yeah. He could have that little small mustache. If he's going to work on behalf of my interests, yeah, put him in office. Soon as he's not, get him out of there. And I don't care how you get him out. Hook or crook, impeachment or otherwise, get him out of there. That's the thinking of a productive businessman who pursues outcomes. Politicians are tools. They're not friends and they're not feelings. I don't need to have feelings about a politician. Anyways, let me acknowledge, shout out to Justice. He writes, tuition. I also acknowledge Carlos. He writes, Peace of Saints. I recently purchased a ticket for the drip trip. I made the payment through PayPal, December 3. And upon opening the Google form, I found out that this is for friends and family only. Got you. He says, my apologies for not using the proper payment method via Venmo. Yeah, Carlos, we'll follow up on that. We'll get you taken care of. No problem. I also acknowledge Dominic. He writes, Peace of Saints, tuition, sass or nothing in a real way. And shout out to Dominic. He's one of those folks that you never have to doubt. Good brother. And shout out to Chris as well. He's confirmed. He writes, Peace of the Saints. No such thing as halfway saints. Sass or nothing, bro. I'm trying to tell you, man. Yeah. Anyways, back to big homie Suge.
Or we go to a basketball game, right? Now the nigga they don't like, but they respect, they might see a nigga they don't like and be like, shh, there go that nigga. And that same nigga can go to him and say, check this out. I don't need you in this song. The motherfucker gonna say, what time you want to go? Right now? Right? And he gonna spit that shit and give you his A1.
Shout out to my nigga Suge, man. Yo, and by the way, while I was talking about YouTubers, I want to shout out my boy Cooley. Shout out to Cooley. Good brother. Cooley, somebody that's always been a great supporter since the first time I met him, been very honest and has always been open with his knowledge and support. And that's been true of a lot of the folks who are saints, guys who are confirmed. That's how we live. That's the civilized way. So I do want to shout out Cooley because he's the one guy I mess with in the YouTube space for sure. But Suge just gave you another gem. Notice how the language changed. Huh? Notice how the language changed. He says the guy that they respect, if you show up, they might not like you, but they respect you. You show up and say, hey, I need you on this song. Notice it wasn't a question. It wasn't, would you do a feature? How much is a feature? Can I get you on a song? It was, hey, I need you on this song. Hey, I need you on this song. Boss talk. I'm not giving you an option. I need you on this song. You're going to get on it. Hey, check this out. Here's what the plan is. Boss talk. And a part of the reason that you're not liked is because you're really getting your thug on. You making things happen the way you need them to happen. And people might not like you. But there's a difference between people not liking you and people hating you. You got to earn hate. Generally speaking, you got to earn hate. There are a couple people mentally ill, especially increasingly nowadays, but you have to earn hate. So Suge is making a very meaningful point. Now, understand this. Some of you guys might be out there playing patty cake. And the reason you play patty cake is because your mom was too nice. Maybe your pop was a little bit weak, or maybe he was absent. You didn't have the right experiences. There's a level of ruthlessness that's in there that you haven't uncovered. There's another level of ruthlessness that has to be put into you. It's not really natural. Has to be put into you. I can think back on various experiences when I could see ruthlessness on full display, and I thought, you know what? I need some of that. I remember Pop Warner football. The whole experience was just making me meaner and meaner and meaner. And this is, mind you, this is how I met Crazy Rob. When I was a very young boy, this is how Crazy Rob and I came to know each other. Now, mind you, Crazy Rob was a savage. And our football team, listen, sports are competitive in all black neighborhoods in Los Angeles. They're competitive. Man, we was on the same football team, and football practice used to be ruthless. Summer drilling, all the moms are out there, the AD and all the coaches. Man, they don't care anything that your mom is there. There's this one kid named Brian Child. Shout out to Brian. Good guy, good brother. Shout out to the whole Child's family. But I remember one time we were doing Oklahoma drills. You land on your back, you pop up, you run, and one person has the ball, and then boom, you lay the hat on them. Now, I have excellent speed. Brian was a little more on the shorter side, a little on the chubbier side. He may have, I think he ended up stretching out with maturity. But at that time in our youth, he was not the most athletic kid. Blew the whistle. I pop up. I've already taken 10 steps. He just got up. He took 2 steps. The hit was vicious. All you heard is back, laid out, starts crying, which is fine. Sometimes you're going to end up crying. His mom starts running out onto the field. The coach get your ass off the field and get your ass up. Shut up with I'm crying. Now, here's the crazy part. You probably can't do any of this nowadays. Because he started crying, instead of comforting him and telling him it's okay and, better luck next time and just dust yourself off, 3 of the coaches all surrounded him and started yelling and barking at him and snatching his little immature body up off of the ground. And once he was on his feet, slapping the out of his helmet, slapping his helmet and telling him that and slapping his helmet oh, you want your mommy? Slapping his helmet oh, yeah, come put your titty in his mouth. Slapping his helmet until he went and got back in line. And I was watching that and I was thinking oh, man, I better never, ever, ever show any level of fear, weakness, crying, sadness, or nothing. If I get laid out, man, I better get up quick. Off rip, you don't want to get laid out. You don't want to get laid out. But if you do get laid out, bro, you better get up immediately. Get up expeditiously and act like it doesn't hurt, even if it hurts. And that's the difference between being a boy child and a girl child. If you're a girl child, and everyone's oh, it's okay. If you're a boy child, you need to be conditioned around, even if it hurts, it don't hurt. Because when you lead into manhood, that's a good segue. It's a good bridge into manhood, which is a state of existence wherein no one cares. Yeah, buddy. Nobody cares about you, buddy. Yeah, I know it sounds crazy. You're like, Marquette, somebody cares about me. Like, even your own wife and kids, like they kind of like, as long as you're producing, you're a good guy. Try losing your job, try not being able to provide. Things are going to be a little different. So as a boy child, I had enough experience where I was either directly involved, and you can read about this stuff in the Black Box, which is a masterwork. There's, I know a lot of you guys, one of your favorite chapters is called Swing First. And that was one of the early formative experiences that taught me, look, bruh, somebody's going to get the black eye. You could either be the one giving the black eye or you could be the one taking the black eye, but that black eye is about to get issued. You hear me? You need to figure out, am I receiving or giving? And there are those experiences that make you more ruthless and more mean. And when it happens when you're young enough, it becomes second nature. That's why you shouldn't play with people like me, because I've been conditioned to like not hesitate, because like I observe that if you hesitate, you're going to get the black eye. I'd much rather give you the black eye than receive one. So I'm not going to hesitate at all. And that kind of ruthlessness is very useful. And Suge Knight is the exemplar of that kind of ruthlessness.
Or on a business level, you can be see them somewhere, you be like, you know what? I heard you doing this movie. What's happening with the soundtrack? Nigga be like, you know what? Nigga, you got the soundtrack, but they don't like you, but they respect you. So which one you want in this business?
And another thing I want to point out with what Suge was saying earlier in this same clip, he said, they may not like you, but they respect you. So you come up to them and say, hey, I need you on the track. And they're going to do the track and they're going to give you their best. It'll be A1. You see, if they're your friend, if they decide to do the track, they show up late, they all lackadaisical and joking and playing. But if they don't like you, but they respect you, it's going to be all business. They're going to be in there focused. There's not going to be that extra chatter and like friendly talk. It's going to be like, let's get the business done, because they don't like you, but they kind of fear you. Respect, there's a little bit of that fear mixed in. It's an ingredient. So that they want to make sure that they perform. That's important. And that's why I always tell you, be a serious man. Shout out to Christian. He writes, Big Booty Barbara, do you agree with my recent PayPal about FBA and Haitians / Jamaicans? I mean, it was a lot. Like you sent a lot of things. I don't think it's really important, to be honest with you. I don't think it's that deep. I don't really look into that stuff that deep. Shout out to Miles. He writes, peace of the saints. Keep it going, Mr. Burton. You're live on how to purchase a vehicle. Help me in my decision to lease today. Thank you for all the game you give daily. Oh, you're very welcome. I'm happy to hear it, especially right now. The auto market's quite funny. We have a lot of folks defaulting on their auto loans. So the economy is in the toilet. There's just no doubt about it. Shout out to Mark. He writes, peace of the saints. Shout out to the big home, the one and only Fax Kellerman, Stephen A. Pim. May I acknowledge Alvin? He writes, interesting. Okay. Fair enough. Christian comes back. He writes, no, I think nothing of it. May I acknowledge Christian? He writes, this is my 45th time supporting. Shout out to Christian. And shout out to this man for keeping data. Shout out to this man for having data. I appreciate you. Shout out to the real ones. Okay, looks like we're going to wind down soon, but let's get a little taste of it. See what it do.
Labeled as the boogeyman of the hip-hop industry.
They was not scared of Suge Knight. They was terrified of Suge
Knight. Yo, shout out to Fat Joe. He's a funny guy.
Suge is coming!
Suge had an apartment full of producers. And he gathered them all up and said, look, either y'all start producing some hits or I'm going to start producing some hits.
However, he didn't just threaten.
Shout out to Suge. One thing I did want to speak on is, as I said, costume.
He beat.
Costume is a common thing that people utilize to get a certain effect. In the case of Suge Knight, one of his costumes is to appear as a member of a blood gang. And of course, that has an impact. Now, also, having actual bloods around you is helpful, which he did have. And that's a fact, saw with my own eyes. But in addition to that, he always had the cigar, which for him was iconic. But this is a very common thing. You see Winston Churchill with the cigar. You see Suge with the cigar. You see Andrew Tate with the cigar. These people all utilize this large brown phallic symbol as a representation of power. Now, to me, I think it looks silly and stupid. But to everyday people, which is to say peons, which is most of humankind, you think it's like a boss thing. So they utilize these certain bits of appearance and costume to solicit a particular effect on the viewing public. And it works.
Him up to a pulp. One of his victims was even forced to drink his pee.
He might have got a few punches, and he probably drunk about 20 shots of piss. You know what I mean?
I said shots.
He was the CEO of the most powerful label company in the 90s, Death Row Records. In addition to all of his crimes, he made...
One thing I'll point out in terms of an error with regards to Suge is that, it's one thing to do crime or to do violence or to threaten someone or bully someone. It's yet another thing to do it and to brazenly brag about it. You'd be wiser to do it and then not mention it, or to do it and let someone else speak about it and then maybe even deny it. Because your goal is not to become a famous bully or famous for bullying. Your goal is for enough people to know that you're willing to bully, so that when it's time to exercise power, just that thought can get the job done. So you don't actually have to bully anyone. Unless you're a particularly devious character, you don't really want to have to bully them. You want them to feel the threat of being bullied or being hurt and then comply. You're really seeking compliance so you can achieve a particular goal. The problem is when you have really diabolical personalities like Suge Knight, which I mentioned, this sick rascal actually is enjoying the bullying and the violence. And that's when you get into problems. Like, I had one homie who actually enjoys the violence, which is why I can never take him on any missions where the goal is money, because bro's always going to mess up the bag, because he's really there for the violence. You heard me? He's there for the violence. Now, we had other missions that were just strictly about violence. Like, hey, bring bro. Bro is the perfect, you're going to have a good time. You can have a good time. But if it was about a bag, like, nah, leave bro at home. You heard me? He going to be the guy you tell him, like, hey, don't shoot nobody. This nigga shoot somebody. So that's a wiring and personality thing. And that's also perhaps a reaction to certain forms of trauma. Shout out to Nicaragua. Came in supporting the work via PayPal. I also acknowledge Alvin. He writes, Peace of Saints. Number 1, UK section got in our monthly workout. Number 2, thankful for this movement you've built. I appreciate you. And shout out to Alvin. I appreciate your leadership, and thank you as well for all of the support. And shout out to all the sections. I see many of the folks are posting their workouts in our Discord, which is private for members only. And also I see folks have tagged the account on Instagram. And I always tell my folks, like, hey, if you see one of the Saints tag me, post it up. And, that's radically different than a lot of people in this space. You hear them talking about, like, oh, yeah, I need $500 per story. I ain't promoting nobody. It's like, no, if you're part of this thing of ours, we always going to show you love. Anyways, carrying on.
Made history with his legendary speech at the 1995 Source Awards,
This was super
where he
hood.
dissed P. Diddy.
Any artists out there want to be an artist and will stay a star, don't want to have to worry about the executive.
Now, another thing to notice about Suge, and maybe the mainstream is not picking this up, but you see he's constantly wearing red. So he's doing his best to keep his gang affiliations alive and active, and it's showing that he cares 0% for the opposition or what they're going to do. It's pure intimidation and gangsterism.
Dudes to try to be all in the videos, all on the record, dance, come to Death Row.
His cruelty and mercilessness cost him everything: his career, his freedom, probably his life as well. To understand why Knight was so ruthless, it's worth taking a look at his childhood. And then,
now, that was stupid. But now, what are the chances that the white guy narrating this documentary understands why Suge Knight, a hood nigga from LA, is ruthless? What are the chances he understands that? Very slim. Imagine trying to deep dive into someone's personality. You haven't even met the person. You haven't even been to the soil that they're from. Extraordinary.
we'll move on to how he became one of the most
You guys see real niggas have bald heads. Y'all notice that? Are y'all picking that up, or is that just getting beyond y'all?
Most influential and feared figures in hip hop. But first, I want to say that I was so tired of all these scam calls on my phone, and
Bro,
I
if you
decided to
don't
put an
stop
end to it.
selling
Start
stuff,
using today's scam. If I
knock it off.
notify Gangster. Very kids took their place. Mostly white people. Childhood, and he was born. Name of the what person music of yours is Marion Hugh Knight Jr. He was born
Junior.
on the 19th of April, 1965. Suge spent his childhood in Compton, where initially everything was more or less normal. Mostly white people lived in the city, but
This dude did his research because this is actually accurate in terms of the demographic shifts that occurred in Compton. It's actually quite fascinating and comical. And I'll tell you a little bit about why this is funny to me. But my understanding is that Compton was first white, then it was black, and now it's Latino. And this is all funny to me. I remember I had this little super bad chick in East Los. You hear me? East LA. I used to hate having to go out there. You hear me? Because I feel like the essays don't really like a nigga showing up in the middle of the night to swoop up the baddest chick in their barrio and then peel off with her. You dig? And then poke her guts and then bring her back like that. Like, I have a feeling they don't like that. So I used to slide through there on the low with the oo-wop on my lap. You dig? So I remember I was telling this one day to this white dude, older white dude. It's actually a history professor. And he taught me a lot of fascinating bits of history. But anyways, he was like, oh yeah, East LA used to be Jewish. And I was like, huh, Jewish? He was like, yeah. He was like, first it was white, then it was Jewish, then it was this. And then I was like, oh, wow. And it's fascinating how there's been so many demographic shifts and also how quickly they occur and why they occur. Very fascinating stuff. But anyways, back to this.
they soon started leaving it, and African Americans took their place. And here, Suge found himself in different circumstances. Gangs, shootings, and other various threats surrounded the youngster. The very first time he witnessed a murder with his own eyes was at the age of 5 or 6 years old. At that time, some gangsters started whistling at a girl walking with her boyfriend. The guy decided to put them in their place, but it all ended with him being shot in the head. According to Knight's words, when you live in the ghetto, this place turns you into a cold-blooded shark. If you were able to handle all the hardships, to not get affected by the troubles of the situation, and not get hooked on drugs, then in the end, you'll lose it a bit. In his childhood, Suge often would...
I mean, that's not accurate. That's an exaggeration. So one thing I think that's important to note is that you don't become a savage because you grew up in the hood, which basically means poverty or a ghetto. I can tell you in any ghetto, there's maybe like 4% of the population that's making it a ghetto, actively criminal, actively engaging in gangsterism. Most everybody else is just trying to survive. They're trying to go on about their business. And it's just like a couple rascals who are violent. They're doing the shooting. They're doing all X, Y, and Z. And that's the reality of things. So that's not accurate. The ghetto's not going to make you into a savage. It might make you into a coward in some cases.
Shootings where he rummaged through the corpses for money and expensive items. He snatched rings and watches. One time he found $5,000 and split half of it with his mom.
Damn.
When he was a kid,
love.
He was called Sugar Bear because of his large build. Suge was a bold kid from an early age who never shied away from directly speaking what's on his mind. When he was in 3rd grade, some people came to school and asked kids, him included, what they want to be when they grow up. Very enthusiastically, Suge responded, saying he wants to be a football player. To that, they responded him saying, choose something else. The president will be a black president. He decided to talk to them as well and said, cut the crap. You need your asses kicked because you're destroying our dream. He joined its helmets. Why did he become this way? He explains it by attributing it to growing up in the ghetto where he had to fight for everything.
Yeah, I don't actually quite believe that, especially given Suge Knight's large stature. Whether you're in a ghetto or in a suburb, if you're bigger than everyone else, people generally are not going to try you. Now, there is a difference between a ghetto and a suburb. In a suburb, you might be like the tallest, biggest guy. Like no one's ever going to try to sock you out. If you're in the hood, you be the tallest, biggest guy. Oh, somebody's going to try to sock you out. Oh, believe that. You ain't going to get through your whole life with no fades. There's going to be some fades, but there'll be a lot fewer fades than if you were smaller. For sure. Now, if you happen to be big and savage, that's a win. That's a victory. There's one particular internet personality who's no longer really relevant, but for a time he was very relevant. And I was enjoying him. I was very entertained by him because he reminded me of my homie Crazy Rob that I grew up with. Dude's name was Faux Extra. I'd actually reached out to him, but at the time, I guess he thought he was like super popping. And so now he's not popping at all. So now I wouldn't even like give him an interview. But one thing I really was entertained about Faux Extra is that he was a quintessential Los Angeles gang member personality. And I know like 4 or 5 niggas just like him. And he's in a lineage of people like Suge, and uniquely 4 Extra being like a big guy, but also he's with the shits and you got some chunkums. And so when that's the case, that's a beautiful combination. But the important thing to understand is that if you're of that large stature and you are really a mean character, that's because you chose to be that way. You weren't getting bullied. People were not singling you out. People weren't bothering you. That was your decision. Okay. And that's important to know because, as I said, human nature, they're deceivers. Human beings lie. So the fact of the matter is that Suge Knight wasn't made into a savage. He was bigger than everybody else. People weren't even like really like pushing up on him like that. Bro wanted to be a goon. And that's okay. Some people are like that. Carrying on.
Was a member of the Bloods gang to go against the Crips. After college, not a single NFL team picked Knight.
Damn.
But he was noticed while training at the training camp of the Los Angeles Rams. He ended up making 2 appearances for the Rams in the 1987 season. According to his words, the NFL breeds slaves. And this kind of relationship didn't appeal to him, having not gone the name Suge instead. And he began working as a bodyguard for VIPs.
Right. So you already know if bro's working on as a bodyguard, bro is big. Like he's not small. And I remember when I met Suge, I was 16 years old, which was like I'd probably say about 90% of my height and size as an adult. And I was not a small guy. I was taller and bigger than most other 16-year-olds. And I remember when I shook Suge's hand, like bro's hand was like a damn bear claw. Brody was big for sure. And he had on the craziest diamond pinky ring. Now, was it really diamond? Who knows? Kind of nigga like Suge Knight, you never know. But it was massive though. And he had like 50 niggas with him, all gangsters. But anyways, back to Suge. Oh, and by the way, shout out to Das. He writes, Peace of Saints. What's the best possible way to become ruthless? Experience, being around people who are ruthless, observing them, and also having something that you want badly and not caring about what it takes to get it.
Toward the end of the 1980s, he met artist Bobby Brown. He took on all roles. He was a bodyguard, a promoter, and he also had to threaten and beat up people. In October of 1987, Knight was arrested and accused of domestic abuse for attacking his girlfriend and chopping off her hair on the street.
That's hood.
Knight was arrested for allegedly stealing a car that harbored hidden weapons. He was also...
Okay, so that's a good indication of bro's personality. It's one thing to slap around abroad, which I don't recommend. If you slap around abroad, you're a goon. No doubt about it. You're for sure a goon. Now, if you take out that extra time to cut Shorty's hair off, this is where I talk about the sinister nature of Suge Knight. Because one, you have to really exert a lot of force just to keep her still to do the cutting. And either you're keeping her still with a tremendous amount of force, or you don't care if you're poking Shorty in the face and the eyes with the scissors. Either way, you're a goon for surezies. So Lil Bud or Big Homie is clearly a nut. And the important thing is the demos. See, when you slap around your broad and then you cut all of her hair off, this little minor form of torture, this shows everyone watching like, oh yeah, bro don't care. No, bro don't care. No, he's different. And that's an important thing to give those demos, because if people don't see the demos, they're gonna try stuff. They're gonna try to lie, steal, get by, get over on you. So the demos are hugely important. Some people give the demos because they know the demo is necessary to make sure everyone stays in their place. Then there's other people who give demos not even consciously, not strategically. They give demos because they're being themselves. This is just who they are. Just savage. They're not thinking about being savage. They are a savage. That's all they know.
Charged with attempted murder after shooting at the car's driver 3 times while trying to hijack it. He pled guilty and was sentenced to 2 years of probation. The court decided on probation, which was annulled in 1990 in relation to his arrest for using a weapon in a public space.
This is like a random judge. Someone in the chat says I can get Mob James to come on and talk to you about death row and so on and so forth. Yeah, if he wants to come on at no cost, I'd be happy to have him. Make it happen. I appreciate you. Thank you.
In court, Knight said, "By God," as if nobody in the world made mistakes. We all make them. Sometimes you find yourself at the wrong place. In prison, he founded his own company to promote stars. And he called...
There we go again, bro, where the bros are super blood. We got Lil Suwoop over here in the Damu special. Bro then went to Style 7 and got him the super blood starter kit.
Called it Nightlife. During that time, the song Ice Ice Baby by Vanilla Ice was breaking the charts.
Ice, ice, baby. Ice, ice, baby.
According to Suge Knight's words, the person who wrote the song was an employee of his by the name of Mario Johnson. Suge waited for the money that never made it to his bank account. At the beginning, he owed some thugs to Vanilla Ice, who was at a
I prefer the term gangster. Carrying on.
restaurant. And the conversation started off on a positive note. The discussion then moved on to a hotel. And of course...
See, that's not quite actually how the story... I don't think the story quite goes like that. But either way, my differentiation between the term thug and gangster, I think East Coast folks tend to use the term thug, and Pac used it as well. And I think that's because Pac was not a gang member, so he wasn't a part of a gang. So you're a gangster if you're part of a criminal organization. You're a thug if you're just like a kind of like a lone ranger, just like one singular criminal, violent character unto yourself. Shout out to Daz, came back again. He writes, "Peace to Saints, appreciate you." Thank you, sir. I appreciate you. Shout out to the real ones.
He wasn't alone. His group of gangsters was armed. First off, they asked to take pictures, and then Suge offered to go to the balcony to talk.
My bodyguard stood up and he got slapped down.
He slapped
That's
the bodyguard.
crazy.
Oh, yeah.
Himself or one of his guys?
I hate to tell you, he slapped him so hard, made him cry. My bodyguard took his gun out.
Oh God. I'm gonna rewind that. Just the idea of a grown man getting slapped, B, a grown man of bodyguard size getting slapped, C, a grown man of bodyguard size getting slapped hard enough to start crying. Now, this goes in line perfectly with what I've told you guys many times. A lot of these big guys, they never get tested because they're big. To me, the most dangerous person on earth is a guy who's about average size. He's about an average man size. That's the most scary guy, because if he don't seem scared at all, you need to figure out, well, how is bro gonna win? He's an average size and he don't seem scared at all. You know, bro been taking all sorts of fades. Yeah, big people, small people, he all sorts of fades. And apparently he probably know how to get it in. A lot of these big guys, they might be big in stature, but they're not athletic. Most importantly, they never been tested because they're big. So I think that's what happened with Vanilla Ice's bodyguard, is Suge Knight could tell that bro was a sucker. And so like his bodyguard stood up, bow, slapped him. But remember, it goes perfectly in line with the principles in this book. Swing first. So as soon as his bodyguard stood up to even pose a threat, he slapped him, thereby neutralizing anything that could follow after that. He didn't even give the bodyguard time to get confident, time to think that he could win, time to think that he could dominate space. He flipped immediately. It's very important. Very important.
They took his guns from him too.
Suge took your bodyguard's gun.
Suge didn't.
Oh, one of his guys did.
No, his guys, if you want to call them that. I think they were there for backup.
Suge took me out on the balcony, started talking to me personally. On the balcony, high above, like 15 floors. He had me look over the edge, show me how high I was up there. You scared? I needed to wear a diaper on that day.
It's crazy.
I was very scared. Who is Mario Lavelle Johnson? His name is listed. That's the guy that Suge Knight brought over there that was an acquaintance of mine that had nothing to do with that song.
And you know what? I 100% believe Vanilla Ice. I truly believe that that guy had nothing to do with the song and that Suge Knight was just using the fella as a pawn to create a pretext for extorting Vanilla Ice. And that makes perfect sense. And it worked. And it worked. And he got away with it. But the problem with Suge Knight is that he's too brazen and bold in terms of, thugging out in public. He's too loud. It was the loudness that eventually got him caught up.
You signed over the rights? Signed over the rights to him so that Suge and them could get paid for it. So Mario.
And mind you, this is before my time, Vanilla Ice and that track, but it was a monster hit, is my understanding.
Lavelle Johnson didn't write that song. No way.
In the end, this action cost him a few $1 million, which were invested into another project, Death Row Records.
Bam.
The NWA group from Ruthless Records garnered much attention in hip-hop.
Now, here we go. We got a group of folks right here. And if I understand correctly, Ice Cube is from Canoga Park. No disrespect to Cube. I don't think I've been to Canoga Park. If I understand correctly, I don't think Canoga Park is that grimy. Maybe it's a Latino neighborhood. I'm not sure, but I think as far as I always thought it was like a middle-class place, but I don't know. I've never been there. Dre is from Compton, is my understanding. Compton's a real place. Easy is super hood. Everybody always knew that. The other two cats, I don't even know who the hell they are. But as you can see, Easy is of small stature, which is going to, of course, factor into things. So this is the legendary NWA, which is to say a money-making group. And when you're thugging the way Suge is thugging, like these are the kind of folks you want to sink your tentacles into and see what you can extract. Shout out to Reginald. He writes, almost missed the live watching America's Behind China in Tech. Another great work. Excellent game. Peace to the Saints. I appreciate you. Yeah, we got another one. Shout out to Nicaragua. He writes, I went to a Cat Williams show in Oakland back in the day and saw Suge there beating up the audience. True story. That's hood, bro. That's hood. I believe it too. I can't remember what year it was, but I know I was in at the time. And my big homie was alive at the time as well. So it's quite some time ago. And mind you, everyone was scared of Suge. And Suge pretty much only moved around with entourages. And I don't think it was necessarily because he was scared. I think it's just because he was just that nigga. And he was in a club and he had some kind of an altercation with somebody and ended up getting knocked out, which was like unheard of. Like, listen, people wouldn't even want to fight Suge, not even because Suge's a great fighter or anything like that, just because of what's going to come behind it and the fact that he's with a bunch of people. So it's like, unless you're really a gangster, like you really plugged in with the gang and you got your back up, you got an organization behind you, you're not even really going to want to fight Suge Knight. You rather just take that L. But apparently somebody, bing, socked out Suge. And I remember that just like reverberating through the, like people didn't believe it. Everybody wanted to see the footage. And I heard that there was a video of it, not of the actual punch, but of him laid out after the punch. And whoever did that, that was a gangster nigga, like straight up. Now, they need to get that Willie D track. Like, damn, it feels good to be a gangster.
However, everything began to fall apart. When the guys became super famous, Jerry Heller, one of the founders of the label, offered the rappers official contracts. They all signed, except for Ice Cube. He felt he was cheated out of royalties. Because of that, Dre called Cube and understood that his friend was scammed. In the end, Dre...
Okay, there you go. And Cube is a smart guy. He's a great writer. I remember when I was a young boy, I was debating with the janitor at my school, and I didn't think he knew anything because he was a janitor. Obviously, I was immature. I didn't understand the world yet. And he was telling me that Cube had bars. I didn't believe him. And then, sure enough, Cube does have bars. It says that Cube is from South Central Los Angeles, specifically the Baldwin Hills area. I think Baldwin Hills is primarily Latino now, but maybe when Cube was growing up, it was maybe a black area. Baldwin Hills, if I remember correctly, they used to have a good ass hoop team and a good football team. Anyways, he writes, okay. Yeah. So yeah, Cube is legit then. Cube is legit. Who said he was from Canoga Park? Where did I get that? That's crazy.
Decided to check his contract. The DOC knew Suge Knight and asked him to take a look at Dre's contract. Suge, in turn, gave the paper to Dick Griffey, the founder of Solar Records, who said that the producer was not getting the money he deserves. Eventually, Dre said, "It's either me or Jerry." Easy responded, saying that he couldn't fire Jerry. They parted ways on that note. Dre met up with DOC, who said he wants to establish his own label company with Suge Knight. The guys agreed that Dre would look for talents while Suge would supervise the processes.
Now, here's the funny thing: this nigga Suge just looked like a devious nigga. Suge, in this particular photo, Suge looked like the booty bandit. You heard me? Like, he looked like the nigga in the feds that be like kind of cool with you, but is gonna take your butt on the low. Like, bro looks super devious right there. And again, wearing red. So bro's like super banged out. And Suge apparently was not an active gang member as a youngin', but apparently when bro finished up his football career, I guess he was really thugging, which is easy to do in as much as, like, for example, me, I've never been a gang member my entire life. The homie Corey banged out. The homie Crazy Rob banged out. Homie Marquette banged out. The other Marquette, I grew up with another nigga named Marquette. It's a long story. Actually, it's not a long story. If you read my book, you know what I'm talking about. But they all banged out. So it's kind of like, say if Suge was me, I never been a gang member, but all the homies are gang members, so I could kind of get by if I wanted to just be flamed up all the time and walk around like talking about Westside Denver Lane, PDL, blood on bloods, on blood. Like I could do that. It would be inappropriate. Like I would never do that because like that's loser shit. You know, if you're not from the hood, you're not from the hood, right? If you didn't get put on or you ain't been like banging for like 20 years, like now you ain't from the hood, Brody. Like nah, knock it off. But that's basically what Suge did. That's basically what Suge did. And I'm not talking about from online sources. I'm talking about I know that from real niggas telling me that. Niggas from his era.
They founded Death Row Records with assistance from Dick Griffey, who offered the new label an office and a studio in Hollywood.
Okay.
Death Row already found its home, but the label seriously needed financial investments. The money was supposed to come from Michael Harry O. Harris, one of the largest cocaine kings of Los Angeles, who legitimized his business using various resources. The drug dealer sat behind.
Now, here's the thing. Certain industries are utterly filthy. The boxing industry, utterly filthy. The music industry, utterly filthy. And it just is what it is, man. It just is what it is. So all of these stories, I think, are completely valid and reliable. Shout out to Jalen, supporting the work rights. Peace to the Saints. Appreciate you.
And bars. And they had to get a hold of him somehow. Back when Death Row Records was just beginning to take off, Dr. Dre asked a pair of aspiring rappers, Linwood and George Stanley, to come in for a recording session. For the two, it was a dream come true, at least until Suge Knight decided to stop by the studio. Linwood grabbed the phone to have a phone call, and this was the phone that Suge used to communicate with Harris. And it was important for him not to miss out on the calls, because he could call at any minute. So Suge asked him to hang up, and the former snapped at him, telling him not to bother him with this gangster shit. Knight grinned and pulled out a gun. He shot twice at the wall. Eventually, he ordered the guys to strip down to their underwear, and he beat the crap out of them to ensure.
Now, here's the piece I want to emphasize to you. There's certain personalities that are not really safe to be around. They're not really safe to be around because at some point, they're going to snap on you unless you have some special, unique position in their psyche and in their life. Otherwise, at some point, you're going to become food. Like the homie Crazy Rob, man, we grew up since we were like little children. And my mom knows his mom. You know, his mom looks out for me like a son. So like I'm embedded in his psyche like a blood brother. But pretty much everybody else, like your ass you're not exempt from contempt. You heard me? And somebody like Suge Knight, he's one of those personalities. At some point, you're going to become food. You heard me? It just is what it is. You might as well get away from this nigga. I mean, look at the look on his face. Look at the look on his face. I'm trying to get that look. Almost got it. That's that. I want butt. That's that Felice Johnson look. This nigga's Tambuzi the booty bandit on the low.
Or the two were sufficiently terrified, he took both of their IDs so he could easily find them should they be stupid enough to contact the police. Shockingly, that's exactly what they did as soon as they were released, battered and bloody from the Death Row studios. So, what did Suge Knight do to defend himself in court when Linwood and George Stanley tried to sue him? He gave the prosecuting attorney's daughter a record deal.
Nice.
Yes, he bought off their own defense with the promise of a recording contract. Thankfully, the prosecutor, Larry Longo, was fired from the Los Angeles District Attorney's Office.
Now, that's a big money move right there. And I often tell you guys that, you know, the level of corruption that is occurring in America is extraordinary. It's all compromised, legal system, the political system, and it was always organized for the wealthy. But what we're seeing right now, the level of theft and just the breaking down of institutions, like even Donald Trump pardoning damn near 1,500 people, more than anyone's ever pardoned in the history of the presidency. This is what we're dealing with, is corruption. And this is what Suge Knight was taking advantage of, was corruption. And, you'd be wise to do the same if you can. Shout to Jalen, writes Peace of the Saints. And that was smart. That's real gangster. That's that corporate thugging. Shout to Tommy. He writes Peace of the Saints. I hope you're doing well, Marquette. What would you say was the difference between Suge Knight and Eazy-E? Both were considered powerful hip hop moguls in their prime. I'd say Suge Knight was more ruthless by far in terms of the violence and utilizing his criminal gang, whereas Eazy-E was more fair. Also, we know that Eazy-E was like the talent and the businessman, whereas Suge was just the businessman. So Suge is kind of like a corporation versus the government. Corporation can make its own money. Like Eazy-E was the talent and the businessman, so he making his own money. He doesn't need anybody. Suge is like the government. You have to be extractive. You got to tax people. You got to pull out value because you yourself don't produce value. So he always had to have a parasitic relationship. And as I said, there's only one true power, which is violence. And before Suge had money as leverage, or power, or money or clout or connections as leverage, he had the power of violence and he utilized it. So those are the main differences. And it makes perfect sense. Those had to be the differences. And I'd say that those are largely a result of material circumstances, physicality.
The first large-scale project for Death Row was the Chronic album.
Super
Dre
fire
put all
album.
his
Listen, that album was before my time. Still a super fire album. Super fire.
And soul into it. However, selling the album was not a simple task. Many companies didn't want to deal with Death Row as their contracts were connected with Ruthless Records. This is why it was necessary to completely cut ties with them. As Dre says, Eazy-E and Jerry Heller wanted him to get on his knees and beg. In the end, Dre organized a meeting with Eazy, but instead of him, Suge Knight showed up, who threatened Eazy to free the producer from his contract.
Dre wasn't there.
Oh, Dre wasn't there at all.
Nah, Dre set it up though.
You're gonna sign these, releasing Dre and DOC from Ruthless.
That Eric was, if he walked between my legs.
Now, the funny thing is that the actor that they used in the movie to represent Suge, I'd say the face was good in terms of being menacing. However, the body wasn't even big enough, because I met Suge. Like, Suge is massive. He has good width to him. This guy wasn't even husky enough to actually play Suge. That's the crazy part.
That Eric was, if he walked between my legs, excuse my French, people probably think he was my penis.
Did Eazy get beat up like the movie show?
Nah, hell no. They didn't touch it.
Suge tried to destroy my record company. So right now we're getting everything back together and we finna come out, fully loaded.
Eazy was not a simpleton. He made a fake signature to free Dre. Because of that, in the future, Dre had to pay him 20% from each of his records.
And he ended up getting 20% of everything that they put out for the next 6 years, and they couldn't do nothing about it. Anything Dre produced or made over there, he got paid for it.
In the end, Dre released his successful album, The Chronic. And a year later, Snoop Dogg released Doggy Style, which debuted.
Also, super fire album. You guys don't even get albums anymore. And again, this was kind of before my time, but this era of music, it wasn't like super single focus, because if you're going to buy a CD, like this compact disc, this physical thing, you might as well have 12 tracks on it instead of just buying a single with 1 track or 2 tracks. So being that it was like a little more difficult to convey the music to someone, they're buying whole albums. The whole album has to be good. there was more time and process put into the album. So the album has continuity. You feel like there was like an arc and a story to the album. The albums had skits on them. It was just more of a product as opposed to something that's like quick and rushed out that anybody can do in front of a computer.
At number 1 on the Billboard 200, selling 806,858 copies in its first week alone in the United States, which was the record for a debuting artist and the fastest selling
There you go, record breaking
hip-hop album ever at the time. Here, Death Row didn't just become the most dangerous label in the music industry, but the most successful as well. In the distance, a label appeared that would soon become just as famous as Suge's label. It was
just imagine having the most gangster label and the most rich label at the same time. You got the money and the power. Money and the power.
Bad Boy Records, founded by Puff Daddy. They were good friends, and they often spent time together.
Nah, bro, zesty. Oh, this nigga zesty. Why does this nigga? Nah, bro, zesty. New York has to answer for this. New York needs to answer for this. Why is this man looking zesty like that? Why? Why? Is bro Somali? Just side note, like, is bro Somali? Because I know he's not a foundational Black American. Like, his bro just be looking a little different. I need somebody to do some research. It's getting good. Now we got Diddy involved in the Suge Knight story. You know, this was a fascinating era, which it's ironically, it's actually before. I know some of you young folks are thinking it's my era, but it's a little bit before my era. My era was actually more so like the 50 Cent era. This was like right before that, this was a raw era. And this is why West Coast cats, LA cats are so gamed up. That's why we so hard on the females. Because if you go back and listen to these albums that they're referencing, The Chronic and then Snoop Dogg's Doggy Style, if you listen to the content, the way they're talking about the females, you understand why we so gamed up and why we so hard on the females. And shout out to the Yay area, yada, I mean, Skiggly Boobop. You think, shout out to Mac Dre. I know they was going stupid up there as well. Ironically, San Diego, people might not know, but San Diego also used to go yay with the Bay Area culture. It's like really weird. I used to know because I used to shoot down to Mexico back in the day to do different little business items when I was a young boy. Anyway, shout out to Carter. Writes, Peace of Saints, please continue. Came in via Venmo. May I also acknowledge Carter. He writes also, ETA on the Fresh and Fit expose. I'm excited for that one. Myron has disappointed us all over the last 2 to 3 years with his dissent and now disloyalty. Can't be all that surprised, though, as he is a tether and government agent. You know what? And thank you for that, Venmo. It's important for us to get all the background information out. I even saw some dweebs in the comments. There's some recent videos that I put out, and it goes through all the background of the times that I've always come to bat for Fresh and Fit through whatever controversy or situation they had. And some dweeb was in the comments like, oh, you support Myron and Fresh and Fit, they're racist, they're against Black people, you must be a lame. And I was like, you're not even aware of what's going on, but more importantly, you're a dweeb anyways. But anyways, I want to push all that out so everyone has all the background information, and then we'll get after it. So I do want to do that before Saints weekend, though. And so let's say before the 12th, I'd like to do it. And that'll probably, it'll probably end up airing on the fan channel, which is called Marquette for Women. So if you're not subscribed there, you probably should. Or it'll air on kick.com/Marquette Devon, one or the other. And there'll be no warning. It'll be just like this, which is boom, bro is live. He going in. Shout out to Mr. Pimentel supporting the work. Appreciate you. Came in via Stripe, and that sounds like a new name. So guess we'll keep it going then. Did anybody figure out if Diddy is Somali?
Yeah. Puff was starting his label and was making Biggie's album Ready to Die. After the successful release of the album, Bad Boy Records was the talk of the town all across the country, and that seriously pissed off Suge. Keefe D, the gangster accused in the murder of Tupac, recounted in his book that he saw how Suge Knight was jealous of Puff's success. Suge took part in the Beats Summer Jam concert in 1995, which Diddy was responsible for. Suge asked Keefe how he knows him, and so on. It was exactly then that the gangster noticed But Suge was unhappily watching how the bad boy label was beginning to progressively outshine Death Row. Moreover, the previous year, in 1994, was not the most successful year.
You know, I often don't like to listen to the opinions of peons when they're trying to get into the mind of a boss. You're a peon. You don't know how bosses think. You might use the term jealousy. It's market competition. No one wants to see market competition, right? So if you make Nikes, you don't want to see Adidas win. It's not jealousy. You just don't want any other shoe brand to get in the business and do well because they're taking away what's called market share. So that's why I don't really like to hear peons talk, because they don't understand, because they don't have experience. It's like, try to explain the thoughts of a peon. Don't explain the thoughts of bosses.
Here for him, to put it lightly. All that he thought of was how to save his main superstar from going to prison. In 1993, Philip Woldemariam, a member of a rival gang, was shot by Snoop Dogg's bodyguard called McKinley Lee. According to Malik's words, Woldemariam reached for a gun, but Malik turned out to be faster.
Tried to run at us, and the guy grabbed him. He pushed him. And when he pushed him, he reached. And when he reached, that's when I fired.
Snoop himself went and turned himself into the police. Suge Knight didn't like such a dynamic, and he went on Interscope and said, Snoop should be freed. Otherwise, we will lose a major star. In the end, Snoop was released.
Now, this was a fascinating era in hip hop and LA culture. And I say LA, I'm talking about Southern California. Snoop is from Long Beach. And shout out to Long Beach. I never really, I got one homie that's from Long Beach. Shout out to Lil Smash. You dig? Shout out to Lil Smash. Shout out to the Rich Rollin'. Anyways, but Snoop came out with a song called Murder Was the Case that they gave me super hard. This was just like a very gangster era with just amazing music and a flowering of Black culture. And unlike today, it was really Black people authentically creating culture from Black ghettos, and then it was reflected on the television. You would have other cultures emulating it. Whereas today, Black people and everyone else looks on social media, you look on the television or the computer, YouTube, what have you, social media, and then you learn about what's cool. This is how you can hear everyone's slang is all like everyone has. It's like, you're like, well, where did that slang come from? During this era, you could tell which city, which ghetto slang came from, because not everyone talked the same way. You fly into Chicago, you fly into Louisiana, you fly into the Bay Area, you fly into LA. Everyone's slang is different. There were real cultures. Now you go to Canada, a nigga talking like he from Chicago. I'm like, yo, what kind of? It's a different world.
Released on bail worth $1 million.
Damn, then you got a murder, and you out? Suge made shit happen.
But the case wasn't over yet. Interscope did everything in their power to prevent Snoop from ending up in prison. In court, the lawyers claimed that it was self-defense. The police did not even follow up on the case, as the victim was a gangster. At the very end of it all, him and the guard were exonerated of the murder charges.
So we're becoming who we are.
Suge also lost $250,000 on Nate Dogg after the latter robbed a Taco Bell, and over which he faced a...
Yo, and listen, if you young boys don't know shit about Nate Dogg. Nate Dogg was the first gangster singer. You heard of gangster rappers? This nigga was a gangster singer. Smoke weed every day. Hey, yo, who in the chat knows what the hell I'm talking about? Smoke weed every day. What y'all know about Warren G and the Regulators? Huh? I got strange people in the chat. Listen, try to chill in the chat. We regulate everything in this cell. Anyways, carrying on. Shout to Danny, support the work. He comes in by Venmo. He writes, "Peace of Saints. I will see you at Saints Weekend and the Drip Trip. Are there group chats for both events for instructions?" We may create one. One thing I will do is I'm going to release the list of attendees for Saints Weekend, because I know a lot of people want to collaborate on housing and accommodations. So that will be released. Keep an eye out for that. And then we'll talk to the executives and see if we want to organize a group chat for that event as well. Also, I think you left your cleats here, right? Was that you that left your cleats? Let me know. I'll make sure that we have those ready to go for you. Carrying on. Smoke weed every day.
11 years imprisonment. After a few meetings, the victim claimed in court that he was mistaken and that it was not Nate, although Michelle knows how it all really was.
Her voice is crazy.
Taco Bell
Nate Dogg robbed the Taco Bell.
with $15,000 check in his pocket from Death Row.
That's hood.
But you never.
Now listen. I hate when people say stuff like that. Look, if a nigga is if you a hood nigga, you's a hood nigga. It don't matter if you got a $15,000 check in your pocket. Shout out to Pac. I remember Pac had this one lyric that I could relate to. He said, I got money, but baby, I want to get more. I was like, ooh, that sends chills. They said, I got money, but baby, I want to get more. So yeah, I got 15,000 in my pocket. I'm gonna hit this lick and I'm gonna have another 5,000. We're gonna call it 20,000. We rolling. What's happening? Hey, what you mean, bitch? If this is a nigga, that's what he like to do. If he's a nigga that like to rob, then he gonna rob. Robbers rob, liars lie. What we talking about? You dig? Yeah, like it'd be one thing if he is the big homie. You're like, Marquette, why would you do such a thing? Doesn't even make sense. But he's a hood nigga from wherever he from. And the fact that he's a gangster R&B singer, he's a hood nigga. Come on now.
Never read about it. You never heard about it, right?
And
But I'm just saying.
okay.
And so Suge needed yet another star. And that was Tupac.
Now this is a different level of nigga right here, man. And you know, one thing I want to state for the record, a lot of slick shots to New York today. I just can't help it. A lot of slick shots to the East Coast in general. But Pac, people are like, you know, Pac was from Baltimore. Pac went to school in Baltimore. Pac was from the East Coast. But if you listen to Pac, he says, quote, he's like, yeah, I might have spent some time on the East Coast, but I ain't get my game till I got to LA. I ain't get my game till I got to LA. And that's real. That's why we different. Everything else is just mid. You dig? Everything else is mid.
At that time, Pac was sitting in prison. The rapper was accused of sexual assault. But a day before his sentence,
man, these slurs been hashtag me tooing niggas since Adam and Eve.
Sentencing verdict came out. He was shot at and robbed at Quad Recording Studios in New York. Pac had a feeling that this was all the same.
And this is what I love about and see, like this picture right here. If I were to explain to a Caucasian or to a European, if a European came over and he said, just came to America for the first time, like Eddie Murphy, and he said, Marquette, I do not understand what is a nigga. I understand the other way. With the ER, I understand. But nigga, what is a nigga? Well, a nigga, this is a nigga right here. Apparently, like it's switched. I think I'm supposed to point this way, the opposite way, but this is a nigga right here. Yeah. When they just pulled up on you and put some bullet holes in you, and you being rolled off on the gurney into the ambulance, and you like, yeah, oh y'all, thug life, west side, thug life, west side, oh y'all. That's a nigga. It's a spirit. A nigga is a spiritual thing. That's what y'all don't understand. A nigga is a spiritual thing. A nigga is in rebellion. Spiritual. That's what it is. That's what a nigga is. This is what a nigga is. A real nigga. Also, side note, you guys might not have seen this reel. There's a reel recently. I was tempted to post it and also say, this is what a nigga is. It actually wasn't a black guy. It was a Latino guy. Or maybe he was just light skinned. I don't know. Maybe he was light skinned, but I thought he was Latino. As far as he appears to me to be Latino. It was an older Latino dude. And let me know in the chat if you've seen this reel on IG or elsewhere. He was riding a bicycle, and there's some white guys who do TikToks, I guess, and they were recording. They were trying to dunk on each other. And bro is riding by on a bicycle. He's like 50, 60 years old, and he sees him, and he stops the bike, and he gets off. And he was like, oh, and they're like, oh, you could stop him from the dunk? He's like, what? Nigga takes his sweatshirt off. He was like, oh, yeah, I do this. And he's like, just so you know, and he walks up to the camera, turns around, and points. Nigga got a Jordan tattoo on the back of his neck. He's like, yeah, I really do this. And he's like 50, 60 years old. These are like some young white guys, athletic. They're probably like in their 20s or something. Maybe even their late teens. So then he goes and stands under the court. White guy comes up, tries to yam on him. Bro jumps with him, gets nowhere near blocking the dude, but the dude missed the dunk. And he's like, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. This is the old dude. Then the old dude goes back into the court. Another young ball tried to yam on him. Didn't work. Old dude's like, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, my turn now. So then he gets the ball. Young boys is guarding him, and then he throws up a hook shot from way out, like a three-point hook shot. Mind you, you're not even supposed to do a hook shot at the three-point. That makes no sense. This nigga throws up a three-point hook shot, all cash, net. hits, boom, net. He was like, yeah, I do this. I'm not like them other people. I do this. And I was thinking, see that right there? That's a nigga. That's a nigga right there. You see, only a nigga is going to pull up, look at some young boys that's like 40 years younger than him, get off the bike extremely confident, at a level of confidence that he shouldn't even be able to deliver on. The young boys who should be able to dunk on him miss both the dunks. Then the nigga get the ball, throw the hook shot from the 3-point, and you ain't even supposed to do it like that. This shit go in all net cash. That's a nigga. That's a nigga. Only a nigga could do something like that. A normal human can't do shit like that. That's a nigga. That's a nigga. That's what a nigga is. I don't even need to say a real nigga because it's implied. It's implied. I gotta say real nigga. That's a nigga right there. Because normal humans ain't gonna do shit like that. A normal human, when you're 60 or 50 years old, you're gonna ride by on that bike and look at them young boys, you're gonna remember the old days. You're like, damn, I remember when I used to be able to do that. But a nigga like, oh, hell nah. Nigga, give me the rock. You get the ball and do some ill-advised shit that ain't even supposed to work, and it's gonna work because you a nigga. You that nigga. Now you understand what a nigga is. Carrying on.
That up. And he couldn't believe that it happened in New York and that his own friends set him up.
What friends?
He accused Haitian Jack of setting him up, who happens to be his friend whose name used to anger Pac, because after all, Jack was also there at that night when Ayanna Jackson was allegedly raped. But
now here's the crazy thing. You know, that was a thizot, homie. You already know that was a thizot. Look at this. I'm about to enlarge this right here. Check this out. This is a thizot right here, Brody. They're on a bed in a hotel room. I could tell that's a hotel room. We can all tell it's a hotel room. They're on a bed. It's 3 niggas on the bed. The broad got on them booty shorts, them hoochie mama shorts. That's what they used to call it back in the day. Ain't nothing but a hoochie mama. Nothing but a hoochie mama. She got on some hoochie mama shorts. You feel me? She drinking the drink because that's a styrofoam cup. She drinking Thug's Passion. You heard me? Hey, who know what Thug's Passion is, man? Yeah, where my real niggas at? Who know what Thug's Passion is? She sipping on that Thug's Passion. Pac is over there. You already know it's about to go down. Then she over here like, oh my God, I didn't want it. He made me. I didn't want it. You lying slore.
Able to escape the consequences. On top of it all, he accused Jimmy Henchman, who is artist Lil Sean's manager, who
I just need to know, where do these diabolical ass names come from? Is this nigga's government henchman? Nigga government name is henchman? Curious. His shout out to my real was he's like idiot Alizé. Oh God. Carry on. My nigga name is henchman. This nigga was just born to be a goon.
Tupac went to the studio for in order to record a song. He also accused Biggie and Puff Daddy, who at that same night were at the studio. At the Source Awards in 1995, Suge made it clear that
nigga Suge looking diesel, you hear me? Nigga Suge is looking plenty big. Shout out to Lord Geotron, support the work. I appreciate you. Came in using the Stripe link. Shout out to the folks supporting the work. Carry on.
The Death Row was on Tupac's side.
Oh yeah, this is where it gets devious. This is where it gets really devious. Just a funny note for everybody. Seems like it's time to wind down, but I tell you guys a secret. Obviously, you guys know I never drink, but when I go to restaurants every now and then, especially if it's like a super ritzy restaurant, and the waitress will come over and she's like, "Hey, can I get you guys any drinks?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure. Do you guys have any?" I'll look at them and be like, "Do you have any Thug's Passion?" And she's like, "Huh?" Like, Thug's Passion. You don't have any Thug's Passion? She's like, Thug's Passion? I'm like, yeah, Thug's Passion. She's like, well, what is that? I'm like, it's a drink. This is your drink menu, right? You don't have any Thug's Passion? She's like, oh no, like, what is that? Like, how do you make that? Maybe we can make it for you. I'm like, no, it's all right. It's okay. And then I act really disappointed. And then I ask for a room temperature water. I don't know what's wrong with me. I don't know. It just feels good to order the Thug's Passion. Shout out to Jefferson. He writes, I really respect your work ethic, Mr. Burton. You're always working on Saturdays when you could be doing anything else. Bro, I'm working every day in real life. You hear me? In real life, I'm working every day. Shout out to Ramon writes, you saw the basketball video I saw the basketball video years ago. I laughed at the man's behavior, but had to respect the delivery piece. And the thing, man, is people don't deliver. People be saying all kind of wild stuff and they don't deliver. That's why I encourage you guys to Boston University, review that lesson called The Pyramids of Truth. And that's one of the things. You remember that nerd kid that was on the live session? He was like, I'm 6'4", 260. I don't even remember what he was on. 6'4", 260. I'll knock you out. And I was like, oh, that's fascinating. Okay, because I'd love to have you come to the plantation. This foolio had me go and buy some extra boxing gloves that I don't need. Told him, like, bro, I'll finance you to get here. We scheduled it. I messaged him every single day, like, you don't come through? He's like, yeah, I'm coming through. He ain't even show up. Liars. People talk, but they can't deliver. I always ask myself in my brain, before I say some wild stuff, I say, am I going to go the whole mile? If I'm not, I'm just go ahead, be quiet, man. I don't even want to start it. But if I start talking, I'm willing to go the whole mile. And in my mind, the whole mile typically means kill you or die trying. That's what the whole mile means. That's why I hate being around these suckers, because I was mad because I wanted the fade the whole damn time. And this man that made me take out all my time to like set up the fade and then was scared of the fade. I was like, how you? I'm 6'0", 220, 260. It's like, bro, and you're still scared. You're all of that and still scared. Amazing.
Like to tell Tupac keep his guards up.
That's
we
good.
ride with him.
And then he dissed Puff Daddy.
Any artist out there want to be an artist and want to stay a star,
yeah,
don't want to have to worry about the executive producer trying to be all in the
videos,
all on the record, dancing. Come to Death Row.
Listen, and this again, this was a little bit before my time, but I was still aware of this, and this was just a beautiful time to be a West Coast nigga, man. It was beautiful because the West Coast niggas is just so gangster. You got Diddy. It was Death Row versus Bad Boy. It was West Coast versus East Coast. But here, check this out. East Coast niggas, they dancing and wearing shiny suits, and the West Coast over here like, West Side, bitch, Death Row. And like niggas is just hood. Like it was just a different level of gangsterism on the West Coast, man. Like you got Suge Knight versus P. Diddy. You got Suge Knight, vicious mob boss killer versus sassy, super sassy, sit in the corner and whack off while his old lady is getting old 1-2 by some random dude. Like it wasn't even a match, bro. East Coast ain't never recovered. They've never recovered.
With tension in the air after Big Suge's comments, Puffy said he fell back on greenlighting the situation on Death Row, saying it was the scariest situation of his entire life, having the power to start something. However, before things concluded, Diddy said he confronted Mr. Knight immediately after.
Bro, you didn't confront nothing, bro. That's crazy. Don't even talk like that.
The Source show at Chelsea's legendary night.
Like this nigga got his arm resting on your shoulder like you're a goddamn coat rack.
Club, The Tunnel.
I ran up and I asked him, and he said, "Nah, I was talking about Jermaine Dupri."
Listen, if Suge Knight said that, I'm beating his ass myself. Suge, I'm gonna whoop your ass. If Diddy soft sweet ran up on you and said, "Hey, you was talking about me," like, no, I was talking about Jermaine Dupri. I'm gonna whoop your myself. No, that's ridiculous. Ain't nobody thinking about Jermaine Dupri. The hell? Please stop it. That had to be the craziest joke. I don't even know if Nori or anybody actually believed that. That sounds ludicrous.
Immediately after the Source show at Chelsea's legendary nightclub, The Tunnel.
I ran up and I asked him, and he said, "Nah, I was talking about Jermaine Dupri." And I was just like, I really put it in my head. It gave me a reason for my ego to walk away.
In addition,
I can't even say I believe that. I ain't gonna lie to you. Who is this? Bone Thugs and Harmony? These niggas, well, they kind of close. It's like, god damn. It's like, y'all, if y'all don't get a bigger couch, why are these niggas so close?
Suge was targeting.
Why the nigga on the far left just leaning on niggas? That must be Lazy Bone. He seemed like a lazy nigga.
The Bone Thugs and Harmony group. They had information.
These was the most different kind of niggas on earth. I don't know where these niggas was from. I think that's from Cleveland or something. They came out and just harmonized like, if you don't want to ride with me, Bone Thugs and Harmony. Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. I'm like, these niggas sound like a Church choir.
That Suge offered his goons $10K to attack them during their performance.
This nigga Suge is a goon. I love it though. I love it. I ain't gonna lie to you, boy. I love it. Nigga Suge is like Genghis Khan out here, man. I absolutely love it. Shout to Carter. Sent a link. Oh, he might have sent the he might have sent it. Well, we have a special little interlude here. A special little interlude. So, yeah, I think we need to watch this, ladies and saints. I think we need to watch it. This one is blurry as I don't know what. Let me see if the other link you sent is a little less blurry. That one is just wild blurry. I think this one's a little better. See if I enlarge this real quick. All right, here we go. Do confirm if you can hear the audio when it starts playing. Yeah, he said, you ain't gonna do that on me. My nig. All of a sudden, shirt off. LA nigga. Huh. He repeated it. Look at bro. Jumped up. Barely got up there, but he's still pumped. No stretch, no nothing. Let's go. Talking greasy. Thank you. Real nigga shit. We talking reckless.
He can make the game, make the rules, and I still beat him.
Huh. Huh. Look at old school.
I told you, baby.
Nigga juice.
Ain't doing that on me.
Juice. Yo, is this nigga, is he black or is he Latino? I can't tell the difference. I ain't gonna lie to you.
I'm too old. I'm 59 years old. Look at him. Dunk on me at 59. Catch me when
Okay. And let's see that jump shot. Let's see that jump shot. What you got?
It's on you.
Fucking reckless. Cash it, nigga. Cash it. Cash it. I'm still a young nigga. Cash it.
This guy.
Take me to the bank, boy. And I'm out this bitch. Straight back on the bike. I didn't even put my shirt back on. I'm out, nigga. Keep the shirt. Love it. Absolutely love it. Huh? And that, ladies and gentlemen, that's a nigga. In case you were just still wondering, what's a nigga? What is a nigga, Marquette? That's what it is. Carrying on. Thank you for that. Thank you. I thank you for that, Mr. Carter. I think we all were greatly edified by that.
10,000 run up there and sling on y'all with the cane.
Knight felt disrespected by the group's First of the Month music video, in which several members wore beanies, a staple of Death Row's fashion at the time, that were on fire. Suge had flown straight to the Source Awards from visiting Tupac in prison. That's where Tupac not only agreed to join Death Row, but where he told Suge about his anger at Biggie. I need you to ride with me because I'm going to destroy Bad Boy Records.
Now, here again, the level of drama and theater of this era was magical. And again, I was a bit too young, but Tupac coming out of jail and going straight into Death Row Records, and then he started creating the most gangster, just vicious music ever. And you could just tell that anger and angst of being locked in a cage when you're a wealthy artist and being caged up for something you didn't do. This nigga came out thugging. It was a rap when he came out, Brody. It was serious, man. The West Coast was bracking.
I believe they had something to do with me getting shot, yeah, Tupac told Suge, and Suge pledged his loyalty. Tupac's enemies would be his free Tupac. And in that way, Death Row's new era began,
Tupac, a low ass
which
nigga,
was more violent. In the Welcome to Death Row documentary said, as he was beginning to show up in various magazines, and then entirely went off the radar, not wanting that under Suge's influence, Tupac was following his outlook on life. He immersed himself in thug life.
Thug life! Thug life! I'm hopeless, baby! This nigga Pac was wilding.
Even though he was not so aggressive earlier. and he used to address.
Well, that's what I said, man. The nigga done just did a little bit of time on a dumb little fall down broad. Of course, he gonna come out lit, more lit than he went in, and that's what happened to a lot of cats. They go to the feds, they go in there soft, they come out turned up, or they go in there soft and come out softer. You heard me? If you know what I mean. They've been in there guzzling Skittles. You dig? Yeah, the whole pack emptied it. It's crazy.
Relevant social issues with great thought.
Suge Knight's influence brought out the worst.
Yeah, this the Pac we like. Spitting on people, spitting on journalists, flipping off the media. Yeah, this the Pac we like. It's that LA Pac.
Tupac now started to wage a war against Biggie.
And see, hey, you see Pac is flamed up. He got the red rag on his head, tie Aunt Jemima style. You already know it's up.
However, Suge Knight himself said that he talked Tupac out of the aggressive and ruthless behavior.
That's a damn lie.
Probably for the benefit of his own business.
That's a damn lie.
As Suge once said, when I look at Tupac, too, Sneed for Harper remembers.
I dove. Pac standing with his hands to the side. He started letting loose on him. He went to the ground, he got up, and Pac let loose again. It was for what?
Sound like a
As
good
Pac
story.
would continue to punch away at his
Wait, no, this sounds like a good story. I'm gonna go ahead and take a pause for the cause. If y'all want to do it, we could do it. If y'all like, look, I'm good, then I'm good too. If you're good, I'm gooder. If you're good, I'm gooder. Bro said Pac claimed Oakland. Nah, nigga, the song is called To Live and Die in LA. It's the place for me. Gotta be there to know it. And everybody wanna see To Live and Die in LA. But shout out to Oakland though, man. Like Oakland really is gamed up. We already know that. Yeah, your boy did some tap dancing on San Pablo, if you dig what I mean. You know, had them pounding the pavement till they toes bleed to get what I need. Yeah, in real life, buddy. Yeah, all the way up to Richmond, man. Yeah, I took them broads international, and I'm talking about the boulevard, not a plane ticket, huh? Real hustlers know what it is. If you're really from the Yay area, yeah, you know about international. Have them on 14th. Yes, sir. I tell you what, if I wrote a black box 2, you wouldn't believe it. Huh? It's funny how when you like really gamed up, you could talk a whole paragraph and people wouldn't even know what the hell you saying. Like, for example, when Jeezy like came out with that Thug Motivation 101, which was a crazy slapper back in the day, I used to think like, if you don't hustle, how do you even understand this album? Like how does this album even resonate with you? And also one other thing while I'm talking random stuff, just on this little intermission right here. People listen to that track Renegade with Eminem and Jay-Z and they're like, oh my God, Eminem killed him. It's like, no. If you're not a hustler, yeah, Eminem killed him because Eminem rode the beat very well. He had great, rhythm and flow. But if you're a hustler, Jay-Z bodied Eminem on that beat. So if you came from the mud and you actually were a hustler, the story was so vivid that Hove told and you can relate. But if you're just like an everyday person, which means a loser, then yeah. Eminem bodied Jay-Z on Renegade. Like, I can't wait till I see Hove. Like, I got to pull Hove aside like, Hove, listen, bro. Renegade, that was one of the illest verses, bro. Like, niggas is tripping. It's just they never got it out the mud, so they can't relate to that. It's like, it's a difference between a hustler and a nigga who never hustled in his life. And most people never hustled in their life. I'm talking about a different kind of hustle. I'm not talking about it like in the mainstream sense. I'm talking about really hustling. Like, I'll give you an example. Do you know what quinine is? If you don't know what quinine is without having to Google it, then you ain't never hustled before. That's what I mean, actually. You dig? Anyways, carrying on.
Talk Tupac out of the aggressive and ruthless behavior.
Oh, yeah. Let's see. Shout out to Johnny. He writes, tuition. Shout out to the real ones. I appreciate you. Came in by Venmo. May I also acknowledge Carter. He writes, win, lose, or draw, before, during, and after, a real nigga is going to talk reckless regard. Bro, I'm trying to tell you, man. That's what they don't understand. And that's how I could tell people like aren't from certain places. When people are like, Marquette, you're cocky. I'm like, nigga, I'm cocky. Psh. Some niggas I could introduce you to, you wouldn't even believe. My big homie, he's now deceased. You wouldn't believe the way this nigga talk. I'm cocky. That's crazy. That's crazy. I'll show you some niggas that make me look humble. It's just culture. Like you're not a hood nigga from LA. Like you're from Mayberry. You ain't never heard niggas talk reckless. But hey, check this out. Look at this pocket square right here, man. That's all silk. You dig? That's all silk right there, man. It's a reason I act like this because my life different. Eh? Yeah, the drip always been like that, though. Always had that different drip. Yeah. Carrying on. Cocky.
Probably for the benefit of his own business. As Suge once said, when I look at Tupac, I see myself. It was not only Suge who beat up people. Pac did it too. The ex-producer of Death Row, Daryl Harper, recalled the time when Tupac was furious with Sam Snead for inviting only New York-based rappers in the shooting of a music video for one of Snead's songs. Harper remembers Sam trying to...
Like low-key, that's not even something to get mad over, though. So, like, curious.
Run, as Pac would continue to punch away at his colleague.
I don't remember word for word what Pac said to him, but it was real short, and then he just took off.
Exactly. That's what I've been saying. It's like, there's not much to talk about. Let's get it in. Yeah, that's how it needs to go. He said it was real brief. It was probably something like, hey, bro, you's a bitch, and then just fired on him.
Standing with his hands to the side, he started letting loose on him. He went to the ground, he got up, and Pac let loose again. It was... Suge had like this ornament or something in his office. It was a red ornament. Snead was trying to get up under there. You know, like he's trying to get out the way, man. That's what he's trying. It was a lot of thunder happening, man.
All the beatings took place in the so-called Red Room.
That's crazy, bro. Said all the beatings. Like nigga got a room for ass whooping. That's amazing.
As Suge himself says, they didn't beat up those who didn't actually want it done to them. As a matter of fact,
that was insane.
It was not the Red Room, but the Room of Truth. Surprisingly, even with...
This man believes in equality. This man is an equal opportunity employer.
Women sometimes got beaten too.
He got both of her eyes, though. I'm not going to lie to you. I personally have never had a black eye. I've given out a couple, but I never had one myself. But to get both eyes, that really requires a level of focus. No, really, if you're going to black both of somebody's eyes, like you really got to be throwing with accuracy or holding them down or something like that, because that's going to be difficult. Shout out, though.
The atmosphere in Death Row worsened by the day. The artists didn't like it. For instance, Nate always took a gun with him to the studio and wore a bulletproof vest because he didn't trust the people who were there. Every time he went into the building, he felt scared. At the same time, Suge reassured him that nobody would touch him and there was no reason to worry. Dr. Dre watched over all that. Dr. Dre talked his friend out of accepting.
I have permission to drive it, and it's yours. I say, nothing. He say, bro, if you don't take that car back to homeboy right now, I'll slide back over there.
Mr. Knight?
Wow.
All my cars?
And that's how you...
Speaking, it all pissed Dr. Dre off, and he decided to leave the label with nothing in his pockets.
I said, Jimmy, when you want him, he can go with you, but he just leave with